Okay, hey everybody. We should be live. So thanks
What's
everybody for coming.
the topic tonight? Print quality?
What's so
No.
yeah, we're talking backstage about paper and some print
No,
quality
we're
stuff.
done.
So
We're done
so
for
let
tonight.
I
me
will
know,
go right back over to my Lego and continue.
just
what
let
I
me know in the comments if you guys want to see an episode where we talk about print quality. And
It'll just be you, Roger, talking to
I
yourself.
think it's just going to be me talking to the air, but let me know. Yeah, Andy, it's good to see you. I don't know when
Good evening, Andy.
I don't know when your switchover is, and you're gonna lose that hour, but it's good to have you for a few weeks anyway. So I'm Game Master Roger. This is my neighborhood. Today we're talking about death and dying of characters, not players. You know, maybe we talk about that another time.
No.
But talking about in-game stuff. I don't want to get too dark. And I'm joined, just going around the circle here. We've got Stan Ducato, top center, Jason, top right, bottom right. We got Mothership Matt, and next to him on the bottom left, we got Mike Saxton.
How am I always last?
Thunderstruck. Well, I'm just going in clockwise order. You want me to do reverse clockwise next time?
Yeah.
So you're first. First, so I had some stuff come in and I bought some stuff this week, and we had our weekly Shadow Dark game as usual. I think that went pretty well.
It did.
We had a there was a kid, one of the kids that I'm teaching the class with. He was asking me some questions about how I run, my games at home, and basically it was really interesting seeing some of the questions he asked, because he's got some problem players and things like that, and not really problem players, right, but just issues with players having main character syndrome, and being just taking up a lot of time at the table doing their thing, and so I invited him over to sit in and play with me and talk to the guys and stuff, and I thought he did really well. And I hope he picked up a lot of stuff, and we'll see we'll see where it goes. But that was a good time. Yeah, and I think the guys had a blast in the game. Other than that, I was at the pop culture sale, I guess, event at the pinball local pinball place, Two Cousins Pinball, and there's a buddy of mine. It has this a friend of his who's selling like a bunch of his RPG stuff, and she's gotten to know me to the point now where she sees something that I might like and she comes out with it, and it's like, hey, I set this aside. Is this something you'd be interested in? So of course I'm spending more than I should on that, but yeah. So I picked up the One Ring starter set, which is pretty cool. She said it was used, but
one of us.
she said it was used and it was open, but like the dice package is sealed, and everything looks like they're like the cards are still sealed, and everything looks like it's in pristine shape, the books and everything. So I don't think it was used. I think it was just opened. And then of course, after I bought that, she came out with the core book, and so I said, well, might as well buy that too, right? I mean, just in case. Yeah, fun.
Excellent purchases.
So I think I'm gonna have to run the starter set, and I think I haven't looked into it. But is that the starter adventure that we played at GaryCon?
It depends. There have been 2 starter adventures. I think the one that
that's
we
the
did at
older one.
GaryCon was the original one.
Hold up the one you got. That's the new one.
Oh, that is the new one.
Okay,
Okay.
I got them both here. Let me see. This is the original.
Oh, okay. That's the
and
original.
That's the new
Okay.
one.
That's
I'm
the newer
pretty
one.
sure.
Okay.
One of them is just hobbits. No, maybe.
Yeah. The one we
I
played
don't
was.
think that's
I thought it was the other way around. I
This
thought it was
is-
the other way around.
Yeah, this is the original one with just the hobbits,
Yeah.
Okay.
and then this is the new one. Which one-
Overhill and Underhill is the new one. I'm pretty sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
So if you play,
Which we did.
if you played the one with the hobbits, then you played the original.
Yeah, which is the one I have. So that's cool.
Yeah.
So I'll,
Not that
I'll
it
be a little
matters,
familiar with it.
because at GaryCon we didn't do anything in that module.
Yeah. Well, yeah, we
much
skipped
to the
all the
DM's dismay.
we skipped all the Hobbit stuff and all the travel stuff.
And what did you
Which
do?
and then the guy was like, wow, we finished this really quick. I was like, well, you hand waved all the travel. Like,
Yeah, which is
that's
what
the-
which
the
is
whole
what
game.
the whole Tolkien thing is.
yeah. It was so weird. He was like, the guy that was running it, we left town and it was like 11 o'clock. And I was like, whoa, we can't leave yet. 11sies. So he was like, oh, okay, like whatever. Yeah, you guys go get something to eat and then you leave. And then we like get there. He's like, okay, and you get to this other town. I'm like, okay. And I'm like, well, he's like, you guys go to this place and you're going to the thing. He was like really, really railroady with that. And I was like, wait a minute, how long did it take us to get here? And he's like, oh, it was like a couple hours. And I was like, well, it's 1 o'clock. We missed lunch. Like, and like he kind of like gave me this frustrated look, but everybody else at the table was like, yeah, we got to get lunch. And like,
The only one that was not playing a hobbit was me.
Yeah.
And I was playing a dwarf, and it specifically says in his character that he loves being with the hobbits. They're like
Yeah.
a bright, because everybody likes them. They're the bright spot in a dark day. And so I was like, we definitely have to have lunch. The guys have got to be hungry. So yeah. And it was really getting on the DM's nerves, but
yeah, and
no
he was
one
like,
at the table
oh,
cared.
fine.
Yeah, we were all having a great time. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
And and then he like rushed us right into like the end game thing, and like it was, I don't know, it was just a weird kind of thing. And then we finished it, and like that was it. And he was like, yeah, wow, that went really quick. It's like, what? You hand waved all the travel and the eating and like the Hobbit, stuff. So it was just weird. But then Mike, you'll love this.
What?
I was able to get a message to Mythmere Games in time, and I got an actual book version
Nice.
in the right direction.
Oh, that's the one that was opened up the wrong way. It was bound the wrong way.
They
Yeah, you need to ask for the ones that are portrait, right? Yeah, because I did the same thing. I got the portrait ones. Mine came in this week too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
The original Kickstarter was only landscape, and so many
Mhm.
people complained that they added an option later. But if you didn't know, you didn't switch it, you were kind of locked in.
Yeah, and that was where I am. But I messaged them shortly after Mike made me nervous the last time we talked about it, and they were like, "Yeah, no problem. We'll swap it out. So yeah. So I got the portrait books. I haven't really gone through them yet. They look nice. They're decent quality, decent paper, but no, they're decent quality. There's a game master guide, a player's guide. The GM screen's a little weird. I don't know. The art doesn't go all the way. There's kind of like spaces. There's like these black spaces there to the sides of the art, and then there's charts. But there's that weird kind of black space.
I'll be honest. I don't know. I didn't back it because I hate to say this, but I don't see much point for it anymore. I mean, it
Sure.
came out at a
Right.
time when the other books weren't readily available, which they
Yeah.
are now.
They are.
And if it was just a reformatting of it to make it easier to play with, which is how they promote it,
Yep.
that would be fine. But they did change some rules. So if you really want
Yeah.
1E rules that are
You
just
got to play
reform-
1E.
Right. It's like it's almost the same, but they definitely changed some things, and some of them might be for the better. I mean, there are some rules in 1E that are just horrid.
Yeah.
So maybe
Yeah,
it's,
but
if,
like
but
you
if
said, yeah, it kind of doesn't matter. Like, because if you want to play 1E, you're not going to play this with modified rules. You're going to play 1E.
well, I mean, there's plenty of people that have been playing Osric for years, but
Oh, sure, sure.
yeah, I don't know. It's just one of those things where like the whole rise of the OSR, came about because there wasn't, and there's a
Yeah.
lot of talk now about, where is the OSR going to keep going at this point with there's so much out there. Who knows? I mean, there's always room for
Yeah.
people to make more games, but there's also a point where you just get a glut of the same type of thing over and over.
Sure. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely there is. And I don't know, whether we're there yet or not. I mean,
I don't know.
in some respects, I think we are, but like a few years ago, people were saying the same thing, and then Shadow Dark came out, and everybody's like, "This is amazing," and there's really nothing
but Shadow
new
Dark
in
is not
Shadow
OSR.
Dark.
I was going to say
Well,
that.
right,
I
it's
mean,
not really OSR. Yeah,
it's very similarly. It's like written in the style of OSR, but it's not an OSR game.
right.
It's
Yeah. No, I agree. I agree. But
It's
I mean,
a-
it's a hybrid.
It's super light 5e. It's like 5e done
Yeah.
right.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. I agree with that 100%. Yeah. 5e done right. Absolutely. Yeah. I don't know. And we'll see, where it goes. I don't know what the next thing is, or, what the next, big thing is or was, in the OSR more recently. I mean, Arduin had a decent, Kickstarter, but I don't know if that's really OSR, either.
Yeah.
So
I'm curious to see if Gavin Norman goes a little wild with OSE now that Dolmenwood's done. I know there's an OSE starter kit coming out, a little box set starter set. I'm curious to see where he goes with it. He's also got a new printing of the books coming out, and he's doing away with the classic
or whatever,
classic
right?
and advanced, which I'll be honest, the advanced book has all the rules of classic in it. If you just want a classic,
Yeah.
they're right there. You could use it. So,
Yeah.
I mean, it kind of makes sense to not have two different, product lines splitting your customer base, but I don't know.
Well, you know what you're tracking their next big thing, right?
No,
What's
I don't
their
know
next
what
big
they're-
thing.
So May is Demon Month for OSE.
Doing a demon devil book.
Oh,
Okay.
interesting.
So yeah, like it's one of these shared crowdfunding, multiple project things. So they have Necrotic Gnome has stuff, and then there's independent stuff too. But that's like their big release is the Demonic Grimoire is coming out. Grimoire. So, but Mary Mushman's gonna have something too. Their stuff's always really good, and then there's gonna be miniatures. So it's a backer kit thing in May. That's like their next big thing.
Oh,
Nice.
cool. Steven saying he said the same thing about Astonishing Swordsmen and Sorcerers of Hyperborea. Not an OSR. I disagree with that. I think Hyperborea is very OSR, but I'm curious as to why you think otherwise, or what makes it not OSR to you. But yeah. In the meantime, what else? That's really what I got to show
Hey.
off, and what I did. Yeah, go ahead, Mike.
Did you get the email today for the latest grift?
Oh boy, I don't know. I got a lot of emails today. so-
It's the new player's handbook with more new art on it.
Oh, yes.
You know what?
Yes,
You
I
know what
saw
really
that.
annoys me about it? I had to
The 11th printing.
I had to look at it, look at all their screen. No, it's listed as a 10th printing.
Hmm.
That won't confuse anybody.
Reforged is just the 10th printing.
Wait a minute. This is also reforged. It's listed on their. If you look at all the screenshots that they put up on the store, they show the front page and it listed as 10th printing.
So what happened was they printed so many they forgot what printing they're on.
Wait.
That's what it is.
And they took the reforged badge off of the cover, so to more confuse people.
What?
Yeah,
I am so done.
If you look on their store, it's on there, and they put screenshots of it with the pages and what's in it. It says it's the OSR's been, or the OGL stuff's been removed, so it's the reforged, but there's no reforged badge on it. It's listed as a 10th printing. It's got a new cover. It's this.
All of those things are going to confuse the hell out of people.
Yeah.
It's already confusing me
Right.
why they pulled the Reforged badge. Like, I don't.
And why, after they just did those covers, did they really need another one? Other than another reason to get you to buy more books.
Yeah.
Uh,
Man.
Yeah, it all dropped today. They sent me the emails. I've even unsubscribed, so they stopped sending me 20 emails a day, and I'm still getting them.
Oh, yeah. They got you. Reforged.
Yeah.
Reforged. Yeah, Paul says OSR loses more meaning with every passing day.
Agreed.
I kind of want Hyperborea to not be OSR so I can abandon the acronym in the trash. Paul, I kind of agree. I've never really liked the term, OSR, because it's kind of turned into just a catch-all for like everything. It, like everything's OSR now, like
Right.
it comes out, and it, and some of it's really not, but but you're right. And Steve is right here. It's not really trying to replicate. It sort of replicates first edition without the Tolkien influences. I think that's kind of the goal of Hyperborea.
Even though D&D didn't go this way, it's very much in Gary's style, because he wanted D&D
Sure.
to be very human centric.
Yeah.
He hated
Right.
the other races, and
Yeah.
he obviously he didn't like wizards and stuff like that, which are in all the games. But yeah, that would be right up his alley of just humans.
Sure. Yeah. So, but yeah, we could probably do a whole show on OSR and not OSR and just go through a bunch of stuff. But it's kind of a pointless thing, like, because it doesn't really matter in the end, But so what else? What'd you guys do this week, and what'd you guys get in? Want to just go? Well, let's go backwards, because Mike doesn't want to be last.
Hang on, I got to get my stuff off the shelf because I put
Oh,
it
now you gotta
away
get
and
your
I
stuff off the shelf. Yeah, go
We
ahead.
should roll initiative for this next time.
We should roll initiative. Yeah.
It'll take me 1 second
Yeah.
here.
While we're
So-
waiting, can I go?
Yeah.
Or is he back? Okay.
I'm
Oh,
here.
he's back. What do you got?
So
What do you got, Mike?
it's nothing great, but the Druid's Handbook that I wanted,
There you go.
beautiful condition. I got it for $18.50 on eBay. So don't let
Very
anybody
nice.
tell you can't get deals on eBay. And just more to add to my collection. Dungeon,
Nice.
Dragon. That's all.
Like just
I
any
like.
particular issues for like a reason
Just-
or anything in those, or just
They were just
kind of
issues I didn't have, and they were like $5 each. So I grabbed the 4 of them, and I went and checked my collection to see if I had them or not. And I have this stuff in PDF like everybody does. It's widely available.
Yeah.
But I like them like this because when I'm bored, sometime I'll just pull one out and just sit down and read it cover to cover, like I would have back in the day. PDFs, I'll go through them like, hey, Dungeon, I want to run an adventure out of it. I'm going to grab the PDF, pull it out, and just print that adventure, staple it together. But I like these for reading. So
Yeah.
as long as I can get them cheap. When I see them up for like $15, I don't want it. But
Yeah.
get-
No, I hear you.
that, and I got a big binder full. I was showing Ducato because he's actually the one that turned me on to Shadowed Keep on the Borderlands.
Yeah.
Little did I know that there's so much more to that stuff from Raging Swan Press. There's a whole campaign setting there, tons of stuff in the area.
Yeah.
It's so my plan is to my homebrew, I was kind of unhappy with the way it had gone over the last few years, and I kind of wanted to scratch it and start over. This I'm going to go with their setting, which has some good fleshed out stuff, but it's wide open. You could do anything with it. And I figure when Western Reaches comes out, I probably don't want to run her setting as it is either. I'll probably take pieces of it and pop it in
Right.
there. So it'll give me a nice baseline to start with. And Raging Swan Press just started making Shadow Dark stuff. Their first thing came out yesterday or whatever. And it's a gauntlet. The freaking thing's like 80 pages long. It's a big
Wow.
adventure. So I haven't even read it. I just bought it earlier and printed it out, and we'll
Nice.
see. But they're promising to do more, which is nice.
Yeah, that's cool. And they sell printed copies of this. You just
They do.
figured it was worth it to.
Yeah, I want to
The
figure
price.
out, because I didn't know any of it, and they have previews and some stuff, but previews are small. You can't really get a good idea, especially when it's a 150-page book. So I got some PDFs and figured I'll start there, and then if I want to go back later and pick up print copies, I can. But back to our paper quality, print quality
Yeah, right,
discussion.
right.
I bought a lot of paper and printed out a bunch of, I've got so much paper I can print PDFs all
Yeah,
week
there you
long.
go. Any gaming this week?
Yeah, we ran our game this week. We finished up the Citadel. One of my old players came back this week. He called me during the week and asked if he could come, and he's in a game, and they're only playing every other week, and they weren't playing this week, and he's like, "Hey, you mind if I come check it out?" He goes, I go, "Yeah, if you're just going to sit and watch." He goes, "No, give me a pre-gen. I'll play." I said, "Okay." So he hopped in the game and he played.
Nice.
They finished the Citadel. They decided they ran into the Beastmen for the first time, and they had already killed the Minotaur. So they tried, the Beastmen were really, really cautious and kind of hostile towards them. Did the reaction checks, and they were hostile. And they were like, "Whoa, whoa, whoa, we're your friends. We killed the Minotaur." So they kind of showed them the corpse of the Minotaur and tried to negotiate with them. And they had the boss there, I forgot his name, Rogan or whatever it was, come out. And they were talking with him. And then one of the players decides, "Hey, I'm going to kind of walk over in the middle of them and talk to him, and I'm going to cast sleep."
Oh,
And he did it, and he failed. And
Oh man.
I said, "Roll initiative," as they lowered their spears. And then 3 of them died and 2 of them escaped. And that was the end of our campaign. We were finishing it up anyways because we're starting over fresh. That was just a four sessions to try it out. And everybody likes it, so they want to keep going. And
Cool.
Pete Flagg, he's going to be running some games at Concoction, Shadow Dark, and he's never DM'd before. So I'm like, you know what? How about you take over DMing for the next 2 months? You run a game. I'll help you out with anything you need, and we'll see how it goes. So I'm taking a break, and
cool.
I'm planning my next campaign. That's why I'm reading up on this stuff. But it looks like I'm sticking with Shadow Dark.
Nice. When was the last time you were a player? Oh boy.
Oh,
boy.
in an actual,
Who was president?
who was president last time I was a player? Oh,
probably the last time I was a DM.
Nixon.
I don't know.
I mean-
It's probably been at least 15 years.
Wow.
And the problem
Wow.
was, it was right when I had come back to gaming. I'd been away for a long time, and I came back. And the guy that showed up this week, he was the one running the game, and he was like, "Hey, we run a game every Sunday." So I joined them. They were playing first edition. I made a ranger, and I played for a while. I was up to sixth, seventh level when the campaign ended. But at that point, he asked me to DM, and he wanted to take a break. So that was it. I mean, and I've been DMing again since.
There you go. Yeah.
So, yeah, it's been a long time.
Cool.
It'll be fun.
Yeah.
I already told him he's allowing us to play some. He's not adding everything, but we're gonna bring in the Ranger, Paladin, and Bard. And I was like, "I'll play a Paladin." He's like, "Are you sure?" I go, "Oh hell yeah! I'm gonna be that annoying Paladin that keeps everybody else in check."
Nice.
You know, I so many times I've dealt with players that are like, you know, we're gonna go torture this guy, or we're gonna do this, and the paladin's like, oh, I'm
Yeah,
gonna go in the other room. I'm like, no, I'm not
Yeah,
that.
no,
paladin.
that's all bullshit. Yeah.
Nope. I said I'm gonna play
Yeah.
it like it should be and keep you guys
Do
in
it,
line.
yeah.
You might hate me for it, but
Let us know how it goes.
it'll be fun.
Matt, over to you, buddy. What you been up to?
Yeah, I did actually get some stuff in. So you already talked about Osric. I got that, which I actually kind of totally forgotten about. So it just showed up, and I was like, "Oh, neat! I remember putting money towards this at some point." The big one that I know I told you about was this finally came in.
Yeah,
all the Pirate Borg stuff, which was super excited about. I didn't bring it all. I mean, it was so much. There's like dice and I got like the big water map and like all. I mean, there's so much stuff came with it. So I'm really excited to dig into this. I gotta find a time
Did they ship
to.
it all together?
Yeah. No, I order my stuff like a normal human, so I got all my things in one convenient package. It was a lot though. I mean, it was heavy. There was a lot of stuff in there. I mean, I added in a bunch of extras, but I'm pretty excited about digging into this. So that's going to be a fun one I got to switch some of my upcoming stuff over to this from some of the other things I've been running. And then just kind of like random coincidence, I bought these cheap from somebody secondhand just to have some. Yeah, just they're the.
Are those? Those aren't the they're the
drive-through RPG ones. Yeah. But that's, I don't know. I got those, and then I got Swords and Wizardry. I've kind of wanted to get for a while. It's on sale cheap. It's like if you buy it from Frog God, it's $30 for the box set plus the supplement pack. I think the shipping is probably more than the stuff you buy, but
yeah.
So I don't know. I got a whole bunch of old school stuff I'll probably never use, but that's fun. It's fun to have. So yeah, Pirate Borg is probably the one I'm most excited about. And then I did run some other ship and some Morkborg, not stuff that you guys have played, but stuff I've run before. So I think Graves Left Wanting is starting to become one of my favorite Morkborg things. So I'll try to run that for you guys sometime. It's pretty fun.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, it's actually like
a blast. So
they designed it to run like when you have a TPK, like your party basically wakes up in a graveyard.
Cool.
And they have to figure out how to get out, but you can run it just as a one shot. So it's pretty fun. Yeah. So
that's fun.
Yeah.
Bring that up later.
Yeah.
Well, that sort of thing will come up. But yeah, what you get any gaming in this week?
Yeah, that was it. Just running a couple of motherships, ran a couple more Borgs over the last 2 weeks. Yeah. Cool. So yeah,
cool.
It was fun.
Cool. Yeah, fun times. So what do you got, Jason? You're excited to jump in there?
Yeah. First, hey, Edgelord, thanks for joining us. I knew that was directed at me. I had no doubt. So Stephanie, my wife, Stephanie, she backed a Kickstarter for a game called Pirates of the High Teas that she saw at PAX the last time we went.
Okay.
It arrived earlier. What did it say? Tuesdays. I think it came in Saturday. She's super excited to play. It's a really cutesy board game that I will play with her just to make her happy. I have no interest in this game. However, she has learned well from me that if a game comes with cards, you put it in sleeves. So I gave her a bunch of the sleeves that I had, so she got busy doing that, and I had to go to a local game shop to pick up some tarot card sleeves. And I had planned on just going in and getting these sleeves, and I'm just going to walk in, spend $10 and leave. But I walked in the door, and this was right up front.
Oh, boy.
I am a huge fan of Stardew Valley. So I saw it, and I was like, well, there's $70 out the window.
So is my teenage daughter.
Yeah.
You can talk all the shit you want. I don't care. It came out right as I was retiring, and I needed something that was going to help me relax. And Stardew Valley is the most relaxing video game I have ever played. I absolutely love it. I have it on PC and Xbox and Switch, as a matter of fact. So there. Anyway, I absolutely love it. So I got the board game, and I have not played it at all yet. I just got a boatload of pieces to it. And I know that as soon as I move that box, those pieces are just going to be completely scrambled. But whatever. So that was my big find. Had a great time playing Shadow Dark. I switched over from my scout. I'm playing a soldier now because we needed a tank, and the soldier's a very good tank class. Having a good time playing with him. I didn't get to use the advantages that I wanted with him. That's just
Where are these classes
from Chubby Funster's Player Companion. Yeah, great stuff. Big fan of the book.
I don't have that one. I have the DM Companion. I'm gonna have to pick that one up.
It's worth getting. There are some errors that we found. We talked about that last week. And by the way, I emailed Greg immediately after the podcast. And I was like, dude, I'm really sorry. I didn't mean to ambush you with, we found typos. And I was like, later on, I still feel like a jackass. And he emailed me back the next morning. He's like, no, man, don't apologize. It's great. I'm glad you're pointing this stuff out. So I was like, okay, good. Yeah, I don't want to burn that bridge.
Well, I'll have to ask him before I buy it if there's a new revision coming out, because I bought the Shadow Sun book, and then as soon as I posted it on Twitter, he replied that, oh, there's an update coming soon. I'm like, oh,
I would be surprised. The errors that I pointed out to him were pretty large, so I would be really surprised if he didn't. The equipment list, the armor list in particular, has some big question marks that Roger and I were discussing. But even with the errors, it's still, there's like 30 new classes in it, and they're all complementary. They're great classes, man. So anyway, I really, in fact, I told Greg in the email, I'm happy that we're playing Shadow Dark. I like the system, but the basic 4 classes just don't appeal to me. I don't just want to play those classes. So getting his player companion in, for me, I was like, oh, cool, new juice. I'm happy with this. Some of the players were making me want to pull my beard hair out Sunday. At one point, I almost packed up my stuff and left because I was very frustrated.
Oh, wow.
But things got better, and hopefully people learn lessons. They didn't. We never seemed to, but whatever. But we had a great time. We got experience. We got loot. I still rolled shitty on the carousing table like I always do. Doesn't matter. Great time. So it was a good weekend. My Stardew Valley board game made me very happy. So full steam ahead.
Hey, Jason.
Yes, sir.
Back to Stardew Valley. It does look fun. The more you get to know me, the better you get to know me. You'll realize I am that guy that twists screws.
Oh, no,
all the time.
I am not taking that personally. Dude, I was in the Army. Not taking it personally at all. But I will defend Stardew Valley to the hilt, man. It is such a pleasant game to play that it's just like, even after I retired, I was doing construction, and I would be all wound up all day from trying to cut shit to the nearest millimeter. And I would come home, and I was either playing Red Dead Redemption 2, which is great because I would just go out hunting up in West Elizabeth, or I would put Stardew Valley in, and I would immediately be like, here we go. This is what I want to do. So yeah, I don't mind you giving me a hard time. It doesn't bother me at all.
I'm curious to know what you think of the board game, because I've heard mixed things about it. The production quality is insane, though. It's really nice.
Looks incredible. And like the board that you play on is the map of Stardew Valley. So I was like, oh, this is great. But I'll let you know. I plan on taking a look at it. Hopefully Thursday night. If not, then I'll do it Saturday. But I will let you know what I think. So.
Hey, Agile, thanks for coming.
Hey. You're up, Stan.
Oh,
Dan,
my turn.
yeah.
I
got?
got a couple things. So I got this. Cool. Blacklight.
Oh, yeah.
That came in.
Have you looked at it yet? Have you been reading through it?
I have been reading through it here and there, and I was actually talking. My son saw it too, and he was like, "Oh, what is that?" So we started talking about it back and forth, and he was like, "Oh, wow, that sounds really cool." He got to play in a couple of the Shadow Dark sessions that I ran. He only played in a couple of them, but he really liked Shadow Dark. He was really looking forward to playing it, and then his school and sports schedule screwed that over. But he was able to jump in on a couple. He really liked it, so I explained to him basically the premise as I understood it, and he was like, "Oh, wow, that sounds like really cool." So hopefully at some point we'll give it a go.
Yeah.
And then I got. With that, I got this. This is Dunstone. This is setting book for like Mike and I have been going on about Raging Swan Press. This is set. This is one of the towns in the Duchy of Ashlar. So when I ordered the Blacklight book, I threw this on there to get that, and then this actually led into like a big deep dive because there's a map in this book. It's just a localized map around Dunstone, but it has like all these adventure points in it. So then I started looking at their drive-through page to see, what they had, like, and all that stuff has something. And then I already had this book, which I probably already showed, but this is all dungeon backdrop. So a bunch of them are in here. Like actually most of the ones that I saw on the map are in this book. So I have been kind of diving into that lately. And
Are they quicker with their soft covers?
Supposedly, but the thing with this order actually took a while because it was I don't know why, but it was one's a soft cover and then the other one's a hardcover, and it took freaking forever to come, or it felt that way.
Yeah, that's
when I ordered
last order.
When I ordered Tales of Argosa, though, like that actually I felt shipped pretty quick, and I got the hardcover version. But this one
is that print on demand though?
Tales of
Argosa. Yeah.
So drive-through, you can actually they have an option now. There's some sellers that can actually sell their printed books through drive-through. So, but it'll usually say at like the top of the page that this is fulfilled third party or whatever. So that's why I wondered.
Yeah, I ended up going when I ordered the Baptism of Fire and the two books that go along with it. I actually ordered them through Amazon because they were available on Amazon, so it only took a little bit to get them.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah.
What
yes.
I want to hear about your crazy miniature setup this week. What you got? Anything?
Oh no, I didn't. I played in our second edition Ravenloft game Friday night, which was good, except for my dice rolling, which sucked as usual. And but no, that was a lot of fun, and we're getting further into the mystery of that particular adventure we're on, which was good. But I didn't run anything this weekend. So this coming weekend, I'm running the game. I have no idea what I'm going to do yet, but it's happening.
Yeah, cool, good times.
Before we go on,
fine.
I have a question for you, Roger. We've talked about Gangbusters every now and then, and man, I really want that game. Can you did you tell me they're going to do a new edition of it, or there's another print set coming out?
They did. They did a pre-order for Gangbusters, and then Gangbusters BX, and then they had Don Samora, who was on the show. He's printing it. He had issues with the printer. There was a fire next door or whatever, and they had flooding and all that. So some of the printing got delayed, and they're just now fulfilling the people that pre-ordered it.
So after that's done, then we might see it on open market.
Yeah, so it should be on the open market. And I'm going to WizardCon next month, so which is Don's.
If he's got some copies,
pick
one up for me, definitely.
Yeah,
thank you.
Yeah, definitely. So that's hopefully pretty cool. I've kind of flipped through it. Obviously, I mean it's exactly what it says on the cover. You play as there's mobsters and cops, and you're in the 20s. Yeah, I mean
they'll never take me alive, coppers.
Yeah, so that might be fun to do something with that. I really enjoyed running Blacklight, and I mean which is strange because usually I don't go towards like the Call of Duty or modern kind of games, but I think because it's kind of that, like I could do whatever I want with it type of, you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
It's not like, oh, we're going into combat and it's like we're going to war with somebody and there's other covert ops guys, it's whatever. Mm-hmm. It's like, no, you guys are going to Ravenloft today with we're gonna go shoot up Strahd with machine guns. Like, I
like that it had
amazing to me.
I like that it has a variety of classes too. Like I didn't really know. Other than what you guys had talked about.
Yeah, it's like 13 classes, I think.
Yeah, so you could design it around, like, it doesn't specifically have to be like 100% like military team. You could have this really weird Shadowrun style group that everybody has their specialty, and then you go deal with whatever the problem is.
Yeah, when we made our group in fact, Roger even put into the Discord channel, don't use this class and don't use this class because they're really NPC-esque and we don't want to deal with that. What does Joe do? He picks the most NPC class of NPC classes. And I was looking at it and I'm like, dude, why are you doing this? 10 minutes into the game, Joe's like, well, I've got this ability that lets me ask for a favor. Can we get an upgrade to the Humvee? Can we get a weapon on top? And I was like, okay. Because my guy's a heavy weapons guy. So I set up there the
he rolled really good on
and
that.
used that
He rolled
50
like an
cal.
18 or something.
Yeah, and the 50 cal is what saved our bacon at the end because I poured lead into the main bad guy. And took him out. So yeah, that was all Joe's doing. I was like, okay, never mind. Whatever. Okay.
Yeah. What's Little Monks? What's Little Monks? I don't know.
I think they're talking about. I think they're talking.
Oh, they're talking about 3D printing.
Yeah, but Edgelord is doing Warhammer or Runehammer. I didn't see what, but I think that's what they're discussing.
Oh, Warhammer. I think he's or something. Yeah. I mentioned. I don't know. Yeah. Okay.
Did anybody happen to back the Black Ballad for Shadow Dark?
I did not.
No. What that doesn't. It sounds familiar, but I don't. What is that?
It's got 22 days to go, but it's only half funded so far, so I don't know if it'll make it or not. It's weird. It's a hardcover book with a campaign that basically once you die, then you get a chance to go and deal with death and either come back to life or there's a whole campaign you can play through.
Really?
It might be interesting. I'm not sure. But I don't know if it's going to back or not. I mean, the PDF itself is $35. It's like $77 for the premium everything, which I'm guessing has the.
Is that the one by Dungeon Damsel that I've been seeing all over Facebook?
No.
Okay.
That's Druskara or whatever.
Okay, that's right.
Did you end up backing that?
No, I did not. I have no interest in that stuff. Yeah.
Death of Oath, Second Chance Adventure. Full adventure designed to supplement home campaign or any official Shadow Dark supplement. Yeah. After death, for any reason, your party will journey to the storm of broken worlds and engage in discourse with death itself and attempt to earn a second chance in the land of the living. Failure spells oblivion, or the chance to enter the setting of the Sunless Crossing and begin the main storyline of Black Ballad. That's interesting.
Yeah, I mean, I thought, I don't know. I'm curious to see. I'm going to watch as it gets closer, and I don't know.
Yeah.
It seems a little pricey, but I don't know. I don't know how big it is. You know,
it definitely sounds interesting. You know, I kind of like some things like this. I mean,
I think it would be something you'd run once, though.
Yeah, it says that you can run it multiple times and all of that. Maybe you can run it multiple times if you, like, they succeed the first time and they get back out, and then the next time, like, they fail, and then you got to go through the thing if there's like different paths. But I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't turn away from it if somebody said, "Hey, we're going to add this to the campaign and we're going to run it," but I don't have any reason to back it. It's just not for me. It's okay.
Yeah. And I mean, that kind of leads into.
It actually looks like the $35 tier gets you the PDF and the soft cover.
Okay.
Okay, that's not
bad.
Kind of a standard price then.
Yeah.
All right. Before you get this train back on the tracks, I'm going to derail real quick one more time. So one other gaming thing that's tangentially related is I don't know. Did any of you guys play Slay the Spire?
I a little bit, very little.
So Slay the Spire 2, it's so good. It's so freaking good. Yeah. And it's got 4-player co-op now, just like the board game did. Yeah. It's amazing. It's not on sale anymore. It's $25. It's so good. Like, if you like deck builders at all, man, it's great. Like, I don't know it's just really good. So
better than the first one?
Yeah, I like it better. The enemies are more creative. Like, it's a lot of the same stuff, but like that seems to be the main difference besides the co-op is like the creativity in the enemies, like what they do and the things that they do to you, and how it's really, really, every time I fight something, I'm like, whoa, this is so, like, how do you approach this? It's so different So I can't recommend it highly enough. It's so good. And
I'm
it
not-
still
not
is
big on-
terrible art, and it'll run on a potato. So like, it doesn't matter
Yeah,
what
yeah,
computer
sure.
you have. It's yeah. So but
Yeah.
the gameplay is so good.
I played the first one a handful of times, and I don't know if it's worth it for me to buy it. The second one, unless I play it gets old for me really quick.
Yeah,
Of having to start over and like go through it again.
Sure.
Like it was a few times it was like fun, and then it's like I'm doing the same thing over and over again now, and to get back to where I was or whatever. And it's just like, okay, whatever.
yeah. No, I hear you.
So, but yeah, I mean, maybe if it goes on sale again, maybe I'll buy it.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's worth
The
$25.
co-op is really cool too.
Yeah.
The fact that you can play with other players like really kind of opens it up too, which is cool. So
Yeah, and that's on Steam.
on Steam,
I-
I don't know if it's that, like the first game came out on everything. It's on like
Yeah.
iOS, it's Switch and everything. I don't know if because it's still in early access. So I don't know if it's out on anything besides PC yet. Yeah, it's not going to be out on Switch till like 2027 or 2028 when it comes into
Okay.
full release, I guess. But
Yeah, interesting. Well, if you see it go on sale again, let me know.
I'll let you know. Yeah,
and I'll
cool. All right.
I'll
Sorry
check it
for
out.
the last.
No, you're good.
sneaking in a
Good.
last derail there.
It's gaming. The whole point of that game is to die, right? At some point. So it's
Actually, yes. So in a way, I was on topic.
there
Well
you go.
done, Matt.
So death and dying, right? I was kind of thinking about this a couple times, right? Over the course of my gaming career, and thinking about it more recently with running my campaigns the way that I do, and obviously death is a thing that happens, right, with characters, and I think the death and dying mechanics really are what show what type of campaign or what the tone of the world is, right? Like if you look at looking at 5th edition or 5.5 now, with the death saves, and obviously like that, to me, like that means it's more heroic fantasy, because it makes it, that's not the only thing, right, but it makes it difficult to get killed or die, in contrast of something that would be considered like grimdark. It's death at 0, as soon as you hit 0 hit points, you're done, and then Shadow Dark obviously falls a little bit above grimdark, where you get the
Not much.
the
Not much.
counter.
It's very easy
No.
to die.
You're right, but you get a counter. And you know what, Mike, I listened to Decado and you tell me about these deaths and stuff, and man, my guys, they roll the death timer, and yeah, we've had a few deaths, but they roll a death timer, and it's like, okay, it's curtains, we're in the middle of a battle, and then one person on that last round is just like, yep, I'll try and revive them, and it's like, boom, 19. Or like yesterday, we had a hopeless cause, and he had one round, and he rolls a natural 20, and he pops back up. Well, he chose not to pop back up. He's like, no, I'm staying on the ground, because they're in the middle of combat, and he was kind of separated. But it's interesting. The luck that we've had is, it seems less grimdark than the stories that I've heard from you.
Well, this week, I will tell you, this week I was on fire rolling. I think I did 4 critical hits this week, 4 natural 20s
Wow.
in combat. Pete he was playing a wizard, and he went down a few weeks ago, and when they were fighting the Minotaur, and he went down and he rolled. He has no con bonus, and he rolled each time this week and last week, and he got a 1. So he had 1 round.
Yeah.
Which is actually 2, because on your first turn you roll that D4, your second turn you roll to try and get yourself up.
Right.
So he actually had like two chances for people to try and get him up. And the first week nobody was able to get him up. He had 1 round. So when it got back to his turn, it was like, okay, make your roll. If you get a 20, you're up. If you don't, you're dead. Doesn't he roll a 20? Gets up.
There you go. Yeah.
Magic missile into the back of the Minotaur, who's now moved away from him, and kills him. And everybody's
Nice.
cheering, and it was great.
Yeah.
This week he went down. He had 1 turn. One guy managed to get to him and failed the check, and it came his turn. He failed the check, and that was it. And
Yeah.
it's one of those games where it can be a domino effect real fast. As soon as one or two players go
yeah.
down, the rest are going with them.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting. Like, I mean, I definitely like that. I mean, the Shadow Dark method of, so many rounds. I don't like death saves
right?
and all of that. I mean, it really just makes it so that it's really difficult. Because I mean, for me anyway, right? Like, I think you need the fear of death in the game.
Yeah.
And in order to have the fear of death, it has to be possible, right? So, I mean, yeah. I mean, otherwise, what's the point? And I know there's some games, that I've played that have, what's the game? There's one where you can like choose, like when you go to zero, you go unconscious or whatever, and then you're like out of that scene, but then like you can decide narratively whether,
Oh, Daggerheart.
whether, hey, am I dead? Do I have an injury? You know what I mean? Type of thing. And I mean, I don't know. There's a time and a place for that, and I mean, I don't think like the campaigns that I run are really designed for
I
something
guess
like that.
If you're playing a heroic fantasy campaign and that's the style you like, where your players aren't going to die, you just want to tell good stories, then I guess it works. But to me,
Sure.
I've never been into that. I want it to, there's got to be risk. That reward doesn't come without risk.
Yeah.
Like I've played both, so I think to give it credit, I think actually Daggerheart's method is better than the 5th edition method.
Oh,
Because you get 3 different
Are we talking
options,
to Ken
right?
on the side here?
No, this is from my personal experience. So one of the options you get is you just roll the dice and see what happens, right? So that was the one I picked. You're either a hero or a zero, right? So it's like, all right, I'll take that one. But then there's other one where you can like, all right, I'm gonna die, but like I get to do one thing and then that's it. I think it's better than just the 3 death saves that everybody lollygags their ass getting over there to help you because they know they got typically at least 3 rounds. I mean, there's ways to fix that. We did some stuff in our 5th edition days, like not revealing our results when we rolled. I started doing that in our games, and everybody else kind of took that and they started doing it well. So nobody knew, not even the game master had any idea where you were at with a save. And there were times I remember in one of my son's games, he was running. One of us, my friend Chris, his character went down, and I lost track of the rounds like altogether. I thought it'd only been a couple of rounds to go over, and he's like dead. I was like, oh
Yeah.
shit, and he's like, yeah, it's been like 5 or 6 rounds. I'm like, but we had no idea. So I think that's a way to fix if you're going to still use that system. To me, that was a good fix. Was don't reveal the death save. Same thing in Shadow Dark. Like what I would do is I'd roll the death counter and not tell anybody what the result was. They have no idea what they have for time. And my guys, because they rolled so crappy on all their stats, they had no con bonuses. So it was like my buddy Matt was going through characters left and right, and it was like every time he'd have like 1 round to be brought back, and they weren't really like, I think they were kind of locked into or flashbacking to our 5e days where they would just take your time to go over and heal somebody, and it was like, it doesn't really work that way in Shadow Dark. Like you need to get over there, and if you're going to do it, get it done, because they don't have a lot of time. So
the only thing I don't like about the Shadow Dark death system, and I do like most of it, the perfect example is this Sunday. We had a dumbass wizard that ran up in between 2 doors and said, I'm going to open the door. And I'm like, I'm the tank, but you do what you want to do. And sure enough, he opened the door. There were 2 bad guys in front of the door behind him, opened up, 2 more were there. And he's pinned. He's got nowhere to go. And I was like, here we go again. And sure as crap, Roger rolled a natural 20 right there on the table.
Yeah.
Rolled the 1d6 damage twice, 12 damage.
Yeah.
Maxed it out. And this wizard had 1 hit point. And so instead of just obliterating the wizard, he's at 0. And now he's got, 2 rounds or whatever, because he rolled, the D4. And I'm like, I'm glad his character didn't just get whacked right out of the bat. But man, he asked for that. And that's, I've said it so many times, stupidity deserves to be punished, because that will teach you not to do that again. And so, I mean, he took 12 points of damage and he had 1 or 2 hit points.
Yeah.
So, and then I don't know. So then, like, but he made a save, and that's neither here nor there. Like, and there's nothing against. I have nothing against the player. It was just what he did annoyed me, and I'm looking at him like, well, the system just saved his ass there, and that's my chief complaint. That's not true. That's one of my 30 complaints about 5e that I really hate. The system is designed to powder your bottom so that you're going to be okay, and I felt like that's what was happening in Shadow Dark, and I'm like, dude should be dead. No saves, no rolls. You got cut in half. I'm sorry.
Well,
That's whatever.
It's anybody that tells you that's been playing a long time. Anybody that tells you that they never used house rules is just full of crap. Every game, and every game pretty much promotes it. You'll read in the thing, and they'll tell you make it your game, and if you don't like this, change it. And playing AD&D, everybody had a sheet of house rules. I think that would be. I agree with you. The fact that a wizard with 1 hit point taking 12 points of damage like that, and then he's just a 0 and whatever, you could easily house rule that though. That if they take double their hit point total or something,
I was thinking
in a single hit, they're dead. Period. Dead.
Yeah.
Right.
Or if you'd go to, I was thinking like if you'd go to like -10. I know there's no negatives, right, in Shadow Dark.
But you take enough damage that would
if you
put
were
you
to take 10 more damage than
Right.
and that's kind of how I do it with C&C. And I think that's how they did it in first edition too. -10 was dead.
So there was first edition introduced it, and second edition it's right in there as an optional rule, and that was the hovering at death's door, where like instead of dying at 0 you dropped unconscious and you bleed out till you hit -10. As somebody that played, you guys all know I love second edition. I've played it since '89 when it came out, almost exclusively for most of that time. After playing Shadow Dark, I got to tell you, I love the fucking death and dying system in Shadow Dark way more than second edition now, because we always played with Death's Door, and player death was less common because you might go down at -1. And you've got like 9 rounds for somebody to get to you and bandage you. And there were no rules for bandaging. It's not like you got to go and roll a DC 15 like you do in Shadow Dark to stabilize. So I like it. Shadow Dark, you have 3 ways to get back up. One, you roll that 20 yourself and get up. Somebody else has to roll the DC 15 to stabilize you, and you're still unconscious but alive. Or somebody heals you.
Yeah.
And healing's not a guarantee. You could roll that roll and fail it.
Our cleric failed it, lost his spell. That's exactly what happened.
Yeah.
We had four character deaths in the Lost Citadel, which, and it wasn't all at once. I mean, we had 1 death last week, and then we had 3 deaths. Yeah, 3 deaths this week. It is what it is.
Yeah. Wow.
But they all loved it. They loved it and wanted to keep going with it. We're going to introduce some things like this. I showed you this before, the learning and skills. If you read through it, it takes like the I don't know what it's called in there, the secondary skills or something that you actually get. It's part of a background.
Yeah,
and
background thing. Yeah,
and they basically take AD&D second edition non-weapon proficiencies and assign them as skills to those backgrounds, and then you can learn other ones. You don't get points or whatever. It's a downtime activity. So instead of carousing, you can spend your downtime to work on a skill. You make a DC check to see if you learned it, and
that's how they do it in Blacklight.
Yeah,
you can do that where they don't have carousing, but you can put so much gold toward a training roll, and depending on like what you want to do, it costs so much, and then there's a DC that you got to make.
Yep.
So
and I like this adding the skills. I mean, obviously, Shadow Dark is very bare bones in a lot of respects. It's very simple. I mean, that one page per class with just a couple abilities, and that's it.
Yeah, I love it. Yeah.
My players had said they'd like a little bit more modularity, some things they could add to it. So adding stuff like that doesn't hurt it at all. I mean, adding a swimming skill doesn't mean you can't fall in the water and tread water and save yourself. It does mean if you fall in those, that raging river with your armor on, if you have the swimming skill, you might have a chance to be able to make a check, shed your
Yeah.
armor, and get yourself to the shore where somebody else might just sink. I like that. I like that.
Sure. Yeah. No, that's interesting. Yeah. And I'd like to see what gets added into the Western Reaches stuff. I mean, I don't know, but as far as death and stuff, but so some of the added stuff. I was looking at some of the preview stuff in the last couple weeks, and
It
I
does
don't know
feel
if
like
she's
some of
gonna
it's
keep it,
more.
but-
I do feel like some of it's more advanced options now, like expanding this, expanding like. I
Yeah.
like the expanded carousing that they added with the D100 rolls.
I looked at it and I don't know. It seems I'm okay with it. I think, and I have to try it. I do. My only thing is now you're rolling on the chart, and then that tells you how much XP you get and whether it's like how many good things and how many bad things happen or whatever. Do you right? And it's like 1 and 1 or 1 and 0.
Yeah, well,
and then you got to roll on that
right,
other
or
chart.
you could roll it by the book, and you have a D8 for options.
No, right. I agree. There's only 14 options. There's that expanded carousing thing. I tried that a couple weeks ago.
I
and
like
it worked
that.
fine. Where you use the D8 and the D4, and I didn't use it this past week because I completely forgot about it. But that gives you 32 options or whatever.
So I know this isn't for everybody, but we've talked in my group about doing away with XP for carousing, because you have all these other downtime activities, learning and
Yeah.
stuff. We wanted to add training to it. Like Pete
Sure.
found himself a scroll for his wizard. Oh, nice. Is it in good condition? I realized after I sent you that.
You're muted.
You're
Tagato,
still
you're
muted there, Stan.
I realized after I sent you the link that it was a stock photo they used, and I was like, God, I hope he gets a good copy.
Yeah,
Oh man,
yeah.
Is it
he gets
pretty
over
good?
the cover ripped off, and somebody colored it in with crayon. On
Yeah.
That's what I was waiting for.
That's
Nice.
the round. Is that the round TSR or the rectangle?
It is the round,
So
actually.
that's the WotC print. Then that's fine.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Because the stock photo, it was the
Has
rectangle.
the rectangle. That's why I asked. Yeah.
Yeah, that's
good.
that's not a bad thing either, Steve.
pro-
To give them negative. So at level 1, they go to -1. I think DCC is like that, right? You can go to negative of your level before
I don't know.
you're dead, or no?
You're the DCC expert, man.
Yeah, I
I
know.
do not know.
I know, and I was sure of that until Matt started giving that look of he's not sure what I'm
doesn't
talking
sound
about.
familiar.
So
So
No,
what-
I think
guess-
it's no. If I recall, it's you have your level in turns for someone to bring you back up.
oh, okay, that's what it is.
Yeah, so
Okay.
if you're 4th level, you have 4 turns for somebody to bring
4
you back
turns,
up,
yeah.
and then
Okay,
if
that's
you're negative, you die. If that doesn't happen, you die, and then there's the luck roll for the roll of body to see if you
Yeah.
come back with some kind of permanent injury. I think that's
Yeah.
what it is. I'm sorry, I was like trying to too many rule sets. I'm pretty
No,
sure that's
I
what it
know.
is for DCC.
Yeah, no. Now that you're saying that, I think that you're right. And I know, like Morkborg does. When you die at 0, you roll on a chart. The broken, you become broken.
It's if you go exactly to 0. So if you go to
Oh, okay,
exactly,
below that,
if you
you're
go
dead.
exactly to 0, you're on the broken table, which you can still be dead. And then if you go negative, even 1, you're just dead.
Negative. Okay, it's dead. I do kind of like the broken chart though. Like I wish like there was something like that in Shadow Dark, where like if you would have gone below 0 and you get revived, like that, you're not just, oh, I'm healed, I'm at 1 hit point, I'm at 100%. Like I'd love to roll on the thing and say, hey, okay, you've got a broken leg now, you're out for a week, or whatever. Yeah, there you go. And
Yeah, there's those.
I think this is actually from the Western Reaches stuff, because I have a bunch of
Okay.
stuff printed here that I think
Cool.
came out of there. I've
That
got
was
down.
something that's the Palladium system did something similar. They've got the structural damage capacity, the SDC or MDC if you're playing Rifts, and then there's hit points. Your SDC is you get shot. You're okay. Keep going. Once your SDC is gone, you're down to hit points. Your armor's broken, your leg is broken, you've got a concussion. I like that system. I like that sort of thing. you can take a beating, but once you've taken too much, it starts to affect you.
Yeah, one of the coolest parts of Cairn is at 0, there's a scars. If you go to exactly 0, there's like a scars table that you roll on, and there's some good outcomes and some bad ones. And it frustrates me that it only happens if you go to exactly 0, because it's one of the cooler things in the game, that table, and it doesn't happen that much.
Right.
Yeah, I think that should be a table like that. I would apply it to like a crit. You get a natural 20, maybe you roll on the scars table.
I really like the DCC crits.
I'm gonna have to look at it.
You
the
roll
tables?
with the tables.
Jason
I know
doesn't
it's
like
another
them?
table
It's
to roll on.
they're interesting. It isn't that I don't like them. It's just it's another table to roll on.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
DCC has so many tables that for me it's when Roger and I first met, we started playing. He introduced me to DCC. I had heard of it, of course, but I'd never played it. And man, I opened up the book and first he hands me a pile of dice and I'm like, what the hell is this? And then he's like, oh, well, you got to have a D7, so you're rolling the D7 table. And I'm like, a D7 table? What heroin addict thought of this? And
That
so
would be Joe
then we start,
Goodman.
then we start playing it, and it's certainly it's interesting. The crits can have wild effects, or sometimes you just do times 2 damage, no big deal. So it adds a variety more than just like a regular crit in CNC or Shadow Dark or whatever. But again, it's another table to roll on, and then if you're higher level, it's a different table to roll on. And I'm like, oh,
They're also my only issue with them really is that they're too specific. They're very specific in like the outcome they explain, and it's like a lot of times it has nothing to do with what's actually happening in the combat. That's the only thing that hurts me. I like the ones where, like, one of the things I like about Mothership is like it has the wounds table is specific to the type of wound that's happening, and then you're rolling like the severity and location. Yeah. So you're not going to get like shot and then have some random thing like, oh, your leg broke, like, which I guess could happen if you get shot, but what I mean? It's not like a blunt force trauma injury as a result of being stabbed. You know what I mean? Like they try to align it with what's actually happening. DCC doesn't do that at all.
One of them, I think it was Weird Frontiers maybe did that. They separated the crit tables to weapon type, whether it was a firearm or a piercing or slashing or blunt.
Second edition did that with the player's option, the combat and tactics book, and they had table after table after table, depending on what type of what type of attack versus what type of armor, or if it was natural. It's a bit much, I think, but
I mean, some of it's cool, but obviously, now when you got to look up a table every time, you're going to slow the game down.
So we got away from crit tables, and we're just using Shadow Dark as is, that a natural 20 is double damage, because I actually had to explain it to the players because they didn't seem to get it. They're like, oh, we like the charts. I go, we can use them if you want. I go, but you got to realize that you guys each control one character, and you roll, one roll per round. And I've got 6 characters, and I'm rolling 6 times around, and you just watch me roll 4 natural 20s in this combat. Now, imagine if we had a fumble or a critical chart. You guys would be hurting. It's bad enough you're taking double damage. But that double damage, I could roll 2 once,
I'm still a huge fan of the way that George Hardy does it. If you roll a critical, you roll a natural 20, you max weapon damage, and then you roll the weapon damage again, and you add it to that. I like that.
We did that for a while.
Sunday, I got my 1 natural 20 of the night, and sure as shit, what do I roll for damage? A 1. What a surprise. Yeah. Oh, it was just so frustrating watching my crit damage.
Something like that. Something like that. If you want to talk about it next Sunday, if the group wants to do that, I am fine with doing that. I would say the same thing I always say. It works both ways.
Right. Yep. And you just got to remember that maximum weapon damage in Shadow Dark with lower hit point totals, you give them that maximum weapon for 1 and then roll another, it could very well drop a player in a hit.
Yeah.
Yes, but in Shadow Dark, you go to 0. You know,
Right,
that
right.
and that's what we were talking about earlier.
I
you know.
do think Shadow Dark is harder to get players up, though. You
No,
know?
I agree. And back, when I first started talking about it, I liked the system. I like that system. I like that it's wow. I've been taken out, and I have 2, hopefully 3 rounds for somebody. Please roll a
So-
good in check.
Somebody gets lucky with that roll.
Yep.
And the question is, I mean, with other types of checks, generally it's accepted that you don't have players roll something more than once. You're trying to look for a secret door. You're not going to just keep standing there and rolling.
Right.
Do you allow people to keep trying to get a player up, or do you give them one opportunity?
I allow people to do that because generally when it happens, it's in the heat of combat, and everybody that is going to try and take time to do that's like less swings on the
I know.
enemy or whatever. I mean, I'm okay with that. Yeah. As far as doors and stuff go and finding secret, like, yeah, I generally don't do that.
You found it or you didn't.
Yeah.
For me, more rolls on a dying character. If you're in combat and somebody gets shot, the medic runs over. He's not like, oh, I can't help him, can't try again. He's going to keep going until the guy's dead or he's patched him up and saved his life. So that's how I look at it. So more rolls doesn't bother me at all.
I never liked what Stephen Kennedy just posted there. The whole confirmation of a crit.
Confirm the crit.
Like
Yeah.
you rolled and then you got to roll
Third
again
edition,
to
yeah.
confirm it.
Yeah.
I was always just like, listen, let's just play, figure out how you want to handle the crit, and that's it. If you roll the 20, you got it. Because there's nothing worse than you get the player that's all excited because they rolled a 20 and then they don't confirm it.
So the only modification to what you're saying that I did for my 3.5, 3 and 3.5 games was that a natural 20 would be a crit only if it actually hit. And I think that was something that was important in 3.5 because that was before the whole bounded accuracy thing. So you would have you'd have like a dragon or a high level thing that would have like an AC of 30. And so
Could
or
a,
something.
could a natural 20 miss in 3rd edition? Because in earlier editions, a natural 20 was always a hit.
No, a natural 20 is always a hit.
Yeah, what Roger's saying is if you need a natural 20 to hit this creature, you're never going to be able to crit it.
Yeah. So like if a wizard pulls out his staff and tries to hit the dragon with his stick and he rolls a natural 20, he hits. But with his attack bonus, if his if his total would be 25 and the dragon's AC is 29, he's just going to do regular damage. He's not going to do a crit. That was my only that was how I did it in 3rd edition. And then I would double it. I would double the number. Now I'd rather have people roll dice.
I don't give out too many crits. I mean, you're basically picking a rule from one edition. That's it. I mean, because I don't know of any other game that ever made you confirm crits. I mean, if you like it, that's fine. But I don't think I'm giving out too many crits. I'm playing by the book.
I'm with Mike on this one. Yeah, a natural 20 should just always be a crit.
I'm with Steve. I'm not usually the dissenting voice, but with Mike.
Oh boy.
I like verifying crits, but I also do the same roll with fumbles. If you roll a 1, roll again. If you fail to hit again, then you have fumbled. If you fail to hit, or if you hit, like if you don't verify the fumble, you missed and you don't drop your sword or whatever.
Yeah, and obviously, Steve, that's your table. You do you, man.
Right, Steve. If I came to your table, I'd play it by your rules, and I wouldn't complain about it. That's the way it is. I never played 3rd edition, so we never played by those rules, and to me, it just seems odd.
Yeah,
because every other edition, even 5th, did it different. They only carried it over for 3 and 3.5.
Yeah, it always felt in 3.5, like with confirming the crit, it sort of felt it sort of felt like saving throws do at higher levels in C&C. It's either you're gonna do it or you're not. Like that's how it always felt to me. Like if you crit, and you get to the point where it's like, okay, I crit a low level an orc or whatever, and it's like, okay, I'm gonna roll to confirm. Like, of course I'm gonna hit because his AC's 12 and I got a plus 15 to hit. Like, you know what I mean? Like, why are we even doing this. But then you've got some, higher level stuff, where it's like, okay, I'm never gonna, in order for me to crit, like I'd have to roll, to confirm it, I'd have to roll a 16 or better anyway, to hit something that big. So it was like always like a feel bad kind of, kind of thing. So that's the way we did it. Yeah, the 20 was always a crit. But
you just mentioned George Hardy. He was messaging me yesterday on his way back from GaryCon and said he wasn't feeling good. And he messaged me this morning and said he's got flu A.
Oh,
I wonder how many people walked away from GaryCon with con crud.
dodge that bullet. Oh,
yeah,
jeez.
well, flu A, there's probably a ton of people with that walking,
Yep.
tight
Yeah.
quarters. So, yep. So, yeah, it's interesting. Yeah, I guess Steven says he's running BX and Hyperborea.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I guess in BX,
Warriors crits are based on your class.
yeah,
Yeah.
because you roll a D6, and then it tells you if you
And
get
the
like a
fumbles
6
are,
times
too.
3, or
Yeah.
I'm thinking
Yeah,
about adopting. I just had Hyperborea out yesterday. I'm thinking about adopting their healing to Shadow Dark because
I use it.
I
I use
mean,
it Passive Crusade.
I mean the feeling of overnight you gain back everything. Yeah, it keeps the game moving, but I kind of like Hyperborea's where if you get your full night rest, you roll
you get
your
one hit die, right?
hit dice, whatever it is for your class, plus Constitution bonus.
I like
So
that.
Yeah.
At low levels, it's a big boon. At higher levels, not so much. But Shadow Dark, the numbers stay so low for hit points that it's probably still going to be very effective.
Yeah. Which, I mean, that might be why she just said, you get 100% back.
Maybe.
Yeah, Dragon Bane's the same way. I think it's based on you don't have a lot of hit points anyway. So,
Yeah.
and I have less
Yeah.
heartache with that. Like I played a shit ton of Dragon Bane. There's nothing I don't like about that game. So that doesn't bother me. But like in D&D, like it bothered me because you'd have somebody with 100+ hit points get melted by a dragon and take a long nap and be okay the next day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I hear you. And I don't think that's a problem in Shadow Dark, like, because
No, I don't think
at,
so.
No,
10th
because you
level,
have
you're
very
not
little
adding
hit
your
points.
con.
Yeah, numbers are
Yeah.
very inflated in 5th edition.
Yeah.
Oh
right.
yeah, but
Right.
for sure.
So I don't know. I mean, time will tell, though. I guess once we get past, like 5th, 6th level or something, we'll see if it's a problem.
Yeah, we only
And
got
I don't know if there's anything in the Western Reaches, that talks about that, because you should have downtime for healing. I mean, I feel anyway.
Yeah.
But I don't know. But yeah, we'll see how it goes, and then I'll talk to the group about it. If it
So
gets out of
you
hand.
mentioned downtime when I brought it up earlier about the carousing.
Mhm.
I mentioned something and then we moved on to another subject. So I wanted to just explain when I said taking experience away from carousing.
Oh yeah.
There are so many when I showed you the enduring wounds, I had a bunch of stuff printed from Western Reaches, and that was the expanded. Some of the expanded carousing stuff with other downtime, or not expanded carousing, expanded downtime. So in the main book, all it has is learning, and it's a very generic description of it, and then carousing. But later on, they add a bunch of things to it. And I like the idea of, hey, the wizard's got to learn a new spell. That's downtime.
Sure.
And the thief wants to do this. It's downtime. And what I'm going to do is leave carousing in. There won't be experience with it. But what it will be is that will be hooks and information and rumors and whatnot.
Yeah.
So you'll still learn all that stuff from it. But I want to slow the leveling down a little more in our games. I mean, I see some people talking about they're 3 years into a Shadow Dark campaign and their characters are 7th level. I don't know how you could do that if you use all the carousing rules and everything. Either they play once a month or what, because leveling's pretty fast if you use all the carousing rules.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking about taking the experience away from that and just keeping it for treasure. And I will put in more treasure. So instead of you come out of the dungeon with 5 XP and then go carouse to get another 5, maybe you'll come out with 7 XP out of a dungeon, and meet it halfway. So you get a little more out of the dungeon, but you're not getting it for carousing. I don't know. We're going to test it and see. We
Paul,
got to
Paul
fight.
says he tried Dragon Bait at GaryCon, wasn't impressed. I'm curious what you didn't like about it. Sorry, Mike.
No, that's all right.
Um,
That's all I wanted to. I wanted to elaborate, so you didn't think I was just like, "Ah, screw that." I don't mind
Yeah.
it, but I think it's too fast. I do. I mean,
Yeah,
as soon as I saw that the numbers run up to 5, 6, 7 XP or whatever, that's a lot. It really
Sure.
is. It's a lot for that
Sure.
downtime activity, and you know,
yeah, it is.
if you do stick by the once per
See.
adventure and say, "Hey, an adventure might be 5 sessions," then I guess it's not
Yeah.
so bad. But it doesn't seem like anybody does that. Most people seem to do it like once every session.
Once every session, yeah.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm going to limit it to, and we'll see how it goes. I mean, if it and if it gets out of hand in a hurry, and we gotta, and we get up there really quick, and then we gotta, start with low levels again, doing it. I mean, I don't think the group will have a problem with it. If we
Yeah.
get to like, 8th, 9th level or whatever, and I say, listen, guys, we're going through this, really quick. When these guys get to 10th level, let's put these guys to the side and start level ones and figure out something different with the XP progression. I mean, I don't think that'll be a problem.
We're going to see how it goes though, because I never would have said this in the past because I was always that hard ass. It's got to be slow and whatever else. But if we play every week for a year and my characters reach level 10 after a year, I'm okay with that.
Sure.
A year is a long time to be sticking with one campaign and a story. I mean, some people play for years and years and years, but it's not. They call it a campaign, but man, it's like a lot of campaigns stretched together if they're going that long.
Yeah.
I'm okay with you. They get to level 10, and we play for a year. You get to level 10. Okay, let's start new, and we'll maybe play somewhere else, a different area of the world, or we'll do something different. Maybe we're gonna go seafaring, or we're gonna play all dwarves or something.
Yeah, right. I think if you play, I don't know. I think every week, carousing and stuff. I think you can get to level 10 by, in a year. But I think you'd be hard pressed to do it.
Really, you think so? Even
Well, because it's if it's 10 XP. Let's say you get 10 XP a week. That's 10 plus 9 plus 8 plus 7. All the way down. Weeks, right? So that's 19 and 8 is 27, 34, 40, 45, 49, 52, 55. Yeah. So 10 XP a week is level 10 in a year in 55 weeks.
I'm okay with that. That's a
Yeah,
long
which I don't think is that bad.
yeah. I don't. Is that math right? I'm gonna look here.
Yeah, because it's 10 times your level, right? So you need 10 XP to get from level 1 to 2 is 10.
Yeah.
And then from 2 to 3, you need 20, and then 30, and then 40, and then 50, and then 60, 70, 80, 90. And that's 180, 200,
That's
300,
450.
450. So at
That's
10 a week, 10 XP
that's
a
to
week,
get-
that's 45 weeks.
Well, that's only getting you to. Oh yeah. It's 10 to get to. So it's 90 to get to 10.
90 to get from 9 to 10, yeah.
Right.
So that's
Yeah,
10 a
that's
week is 45 a week. I mean, and if
10
you're and
Well,
you're rolling lower than that on the carousing, and
yeah, you're right.
I mean,
so 10,
I don't know.
So 10 a week would get you, if you played every single week, would get you to 520. So if you took 7 weeks off, I guess you're right. That'd get you to 450. So maybe I won't change it.
And that's assuming that you roll well. Yeah, I mean, I don't think we've ever gotten more than 7 experience in a week.
Yeah.
I think it's pretty well balanced. I'm okay with
So
it. But whatever.
yeah, a year's not that bad. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see how
The,
it goes.
the only thing I'm not super thrilled with is the XP for treasure. I like the fact that mundane treasure is no XP. Maybe you find a +1 sword, and that might be what? That's a 3 XP reward.
2 or 3 XP, yeah.
The problem is if you have a dungeon where you put in a bunch of little treasures like that, you
It
got
adds up,
a ring here and that there. I mean, you can get 10 XP in no time just in 3 pieces of treasure. You know,
Well, if you ask
If
my
they're not-
players, they're not in danger of finding multiple
Yeah.
magic items. In a
no,
dungeon.
I guess if you're going to put multiples in there, you put them together.
Put them together so it's one haul.
Yeah.
It's true that we will probably never find that many magic items, but I will say this: Sunday when I got the ornate longsword with the fiery pearl and the pommel, I was thrilled. It's worth 50 gold, and so like I paid the rest of the group so that I could keep the sword. Man, that's cool. That's
What
flashy.
was the
That's
sword?
something.
Was it
It was
magic or just?
no,
No.
just a regular. It was just a regular ornate longsword. Nothing special about it other than that it looked really nice. So I wrote all the details out, and I'm like, I'm happy that my character has this sword. I don't care if it's magic or not. Wonderful.
The fighter
in
in our
fact-
group got the Minotaur's axe.
Yeah, we had that too. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
He didn't
yeah, that
roll a
thing's
20.
crazy.
Oh no, he did roll 120. He did
Oh
roll
my God.
120 and got to roll 4 times
That's
damage.
times 4. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah,
crazy.
I was like, okay, well, you have a lesser chance to hit. Okay, you get 4 times the crit damage. Nothing we fought has over 5 hit points, dude. So what?
Right.
What
I-
are you hoping to achieve here? Use the thing you've got the bonus to hit with. You'll hit more often and thus do more damage.
Well, the funny
But
part
he doesn't
was
think that way.
the thing that he fought had 4 hit points. It was a dark mantle. And it only
Right.
had 4 hit points, right? And I go, you don't need to roll. I go, it's four times. You can't. The minimum kills it. And everybody at the table was like, no, he's got to roll. We want to know how much he hits for.
Congratulations, you really killed him. Whatever.
But that's
I have not,
that's-
Steve.
That, you know what? That's the same thing, though. I used to be really a curmudgeon about that stuff and like, oh, that's too powerful. And now I don't care. It's fun. They have fun with it. Who cares? I mean,
Yeah.
monsters are,
Yeah,
I've got them in infinite supply.
I'm trying to embrace that because in the last Caster Crusades session I ran, there was some magic items that dropped that I didn't actually think, some of them I didn't consider them actually using, because my guys are actually fairly particular about what they'll use. Like if it's any hint of some of them, any hint of like evil or anything, they won't touch it,
Yeah.
except with one player. But like I just wasn't paying attention when I dropped them in there. And one of them was a totally random thing, like kind of going with the moment. And I put it on the player, like they were going through this cave and there was these mushrooms. It was like this living thing. And they noticed like on one of these big stalks, there was like this ridge line. They're like, what the hell is that? So like they started messing around with it. The dwarf did and the cleric. And he drove his fingers in and pulls out this ancient shield. So I was like, oh, okay. I'm like, and it's kind of like on the fly, and I was like, all right, roll a percentile dice, because I was looking at the chart that they have in CNC to determine the magic rating for it. And that motherfucker rolled like a 96. And I was like, bastard. So I was like, well, I gave it to him. So I'm like, I'm not going to take it away. And then he got some armor later on that I didn't really think they were going to, I didn't even dawn on me that they might take it for whatever reason. And now that guy is going to be nigh untouchable, like with a melee attack. So I'm going to have to just kill him with area effect spells.
The funny thing with Shadow Dark, when you make your characters and you roll that first talent, I don't know if every class has it, but some of the classes have a talent on there to create a magic item.
That's the
They
wizard.
get to
Yeah,
start
the
with
wizard.
one.
Yeah,
Is it just the wizard?
Yeah.
I think so.
Okay, so
I don't know if any of Chubby's stuff has it in the player's companion, but in the base game, it's only the wizard that does that.
yeah, I know it. I know because Pete played the wizard and he rolled that as his talent. We rolled it and it came out to be a potion, but it doesn't have any restrictions on what it could be.
Right.
So you could roll a sword, and then you roll the effects on the sword, and you could have a Vorpal sword at first level because that's
Yeah.
one of the options on there. And I'm like, okay, whatever. It is what it is. I mean, I don't really care
Yeah.
anymore. It's fun stuff. I mean, certain magic items, if the players are wielding them, they're a target. So
Sure.
you got to be
Yeah.
careful. The enemies see
Exactly,
that
yeah.
stuff, they might be like, kill him. So
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean, that happens to our spellcasters, like our
right.
party wizard. Like they were running up this mountain trail and he threw a fireball at two frost giants and they were like, oh, that guy we need to smash.
Right.
And they just started chucking
Yeah.
all their rocks at him.
Yeah.
Yep.
And it was like, oh shit, I drew fire on that one. Yeah,
Yes.
they're not dumb, like
Nope.
even if they were, you don't have to be a genius to be like, oh, that guy really hurt me.
Right.
You want to kill him before he does it again. So yeah.
So what back to death and dying here. What yeah. What so on the topic of magic items and stuff, what how do you guys feel about so my issue with giving out magic items is I've always had I would like give out, a bunch of magic items and then I'd have players that would, they'd get killed or whatever and then
They pass
they
them
just
on.
they
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 all
roll up
them.
they roll up a new character and their new character just is Bob the Second. It just has all the same wearing all the same equipment on.
Yeah,
and stuff.
I would not allow that.
So
That doesn't.
I
happen.
know. So yeah, more recently, like we've had some players that left. We were running CNC, and we had we had one player that left. We booted him. We kind of voted him off the island, and one of the players, instantly was like, "Oh, well, we want to take his stuff?" And I'm like, "No. He left with all his stuff. I'm not letting that happen." And then, but then when one of the other players had to move away and had to leave the campaign, he was like, "Hey, give us all, basically, hey, before you get on the boat, strip down and give us all your stuff." And I was
No.
like, okay, the guy is a ranger, right? He's not leaving he's just becoming an NPC. I was like, he will not give you his axe. He will not give you his bow. He will not give you his mithril chainmail or whatever. You know what I mean? Like,
When I
else,
retired,
like he had a helm of comprehension or whatever. I'm like, okay, maybe he can give that up, but
and when I retired Yohai, that player, because he always said the same thing. He said it to me. Oh, Yohai should give up his +5 spear. Yeah, go F yourself.
Yeah.
I'm retiring
good.
this character. I'm not giving out all the shit that I worked so hard for. Don't ever ask me that again. And then Yohai leaves. That spear is hanging above the mantle where it will stay until the day Yohai dies.
I've always struggled with that when a player dies, and it's like I've had this discussion with my group. I'm like, listen, these are supposed to be your friends. You guys had this whole backstory. You all grew up together, whatever, or you've been dungeon delving with them for you're 6th level now. You've been with them quite some time now. And this guy dies, and the first thing you can think of is stripping everything off of him
Yes.
and like dividing it up amongst you. And
Yeah.
I was like, I don't even, some might not agree with me, but I don't even have a problem with a house rule that just says, listen, when a player like that dies, his stuff gets buried with him. He's got family, whatever else. You take that stuff, somebody's going to know, and they're going to come after you.
I don't know if it was a house rule or something, but I saw something somewhere that said I don't know if it was I think it was an older edition of D&D that said that you could basically will like one magic item to like someone else. So like if your character died, the next character that you make, like you could take the guy's armor, you could take the guy's sword, but you only get one thing and that's it. I don't know if that's something that you guys would be interested in.
I don't really have a problem with looting the dead character. Your adventurers and this +2 chainmail can be used by the cleric or whoever. So it doesn't make any sense to just toss it in a hole to me. What I don't like though is we're going to take all this guy's gear and now Bob the Second walks up, who we do not know. We don't know anything about this guy. Here, have this +2 chainmail. You would never do that. That's just absurd. Like the only exception I had is like when we were playing CNC and we kept finding like +1 junk, the +1 maul or +1 short sword that we were like, we don't need this crap. And we had no place to sell it. So we had a warehouse that we were storing all our crap in. A new guy joins the party and we're like, this guy's first level. We've got this +1 leather that no one's using. Just let him have it. But to me, that's different than, oh, Bob 1 died here. Oh, look, it's Bob 2. Let's give him this stuff. I would not allow that at all.
So I think that's
player agency, but you have to draw the line somewhere.
I think that's part of the beauty, though, of having things like strongholds, letting your players develop a stronghold. Because, okay, we're going to go out adventuring. Well, who's watching your stronghold? Who's keeping, we're going to have to hire some people. We're going to have some mercenaries. Okay. Well,
That's exactly what I did.
All that extra stuff you got, the better you equip them, the better they can protect your stuff.
Yep.
We've had it where they brought in torchbearers and they found, they found some better armor and they upgraded the +1 leather they had, and they were like, well, give it to the torchbearer. I mean, he's down here with us. The guy wouldn't fight, but he's carrying a torch for you. you don't want them dead.
Mhm.
And I had to stress. I've had to stress this stuff with my players too. Like, oh, you bring henchmen in. You hire some guy in town. You put out a notice to hire guys. You hire this kid to be a torchbearer. He dies and you leave him in the dungeon. What do you think's going to happen when you get back home and his family's like, oh, what happened to little Jimmy?
Yeah.
So I think you said something cool there. I don't know if you guys played Shadow of War or Shadow of Mordor. Remember those games for Lord of the Rings? They had that Nemesis system. So like
Yes.
I think it's a cool idea. Like if you take, so like one of the PCs dies and you take all their stuff, then have the family send like a recurring round of like Nemesis enemies to retrieve their loved one's stuff back. Like
Yeah.
you could do some cool stuff with that.
I like that idea.
Yeah, that's actually awesome. Yeah. Yeah, or like the haunted soul of the guy.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Listen,
Yeah.
if they rob him of all his stuff, if they actually leave him in the dungeon, and I've never had my players do that. They usually take him out and we're going to pay to bury him. But man, if they rob him all their stuff and leave him there, have him come back as a revenant, pissed off, wanting to get
Yeah.
you left me here you left me here on the dungeon floor. You stripped me of all my stuff. Have him raise up as an undead revenant, ready to get
I am
revenge.
happy to say that the few times that we had players die in C&C, Yohai was adamant. We bring the body back. We bury him in the cemetery that I consecrated. that is where all the PCs are buried. There's a huge oak, and all the PCs that have died are buried in the cemetery. Yeah, because of that, I don't want undead coming back to haunt us or whatever. If we have a player that would absolutely, hey Roger, what do you think about if I did this? No, and Roger knows exactly what I'm talking about. I don't want to deal with that nonsense. Yeah, sorry, you were buried in holy ground. You're resting in peace.
Yeah. It's interesting. What so I just keep talking about this death stuff and kind of jumping around here, but what do you how do you guys feel about TPKs? I mean, I know TPKs happen, right? What do we do? What do we do with TPKs? Like, is there like I think there's so many things, only so many times you could say, hey, the party really survived, or what, you know what I mean? To have like a like when I was running Curse of Strahd, I had the players wiped out, and they I had them all just be knocked unconscious, and they woke up in a werewolf den, and they're all like chained up, and the werewolves are basically like fighting people against each other to see who they're going to turn, who the strongest is to turn them. And so they had to kind of like try and break their way out or whatever. And I had one player that was like, that told me, in secret was like, hey, I want to be infected with, lycanthropy or whatever. So that was kind of cool. So in like stressful situations, I'd have him make saving throws, and he'd like, to prevent like from turning and stuff. And so that was like a cool kind of thing that we did. But I mean, I think, and then Mike, you mentioned this Kickstarter that's out there that has this stuff, and I know the Pirate Borg stuff. Matt, I don't know if you found that yet or if flipped through that, but there is some classes I think in there that
You can
that
only play if
use
you've died.
Yeah, there are. Yeah.
die, and things like that. So, like, I don't know, like too much of that stuff, I think again takes away from, actually having death. Cause then it's like, oh, cool. I'm dead. I'm just going to be this, this revenant class now, or this undead skeleton guy that's walking around now or whatever. And it doesn't really matter. But how do you guys feel about that? Like if there was like a TPK to like tell everybody next week, hey, everybody's, secretly alive, and you're trapped in hell and you're trying to get out or whatever. What do you guys think about that sort of thing?
I think
don't
like
know.
once it would be fine. Like,
Right.
I think you could make that fun, but like that would be the only time it ever happened.
Yeah. Like even if it was something different, like if you did it multiple times, it takes away from that that
Yeah,
threat
they take
of
away
death.
from the threat and the uniqueness of the situation, right? So if they
Yeah.
knew they're, unless it was something like baked into the campaign, like it was like a Groundhog Day type thing almost, where every time you
Yeah.
die, you wind up and have to maybe get through a different portion of some other realm or something. You have to come back. I don't know, but as a general rule, like I would maybe consider doing that once.
Roger's going to make it like
But I wouldn't do
JR. It was all a dream.
Yeah. Oh, you wake
Oh
up in the
man.
end.
Oh man. No, that didn't work out well for General Hospital there. So
Mhm.
No, I'm talking about Dallas. Come on, JR.
Yeah.
Who shot Jr.? Yeah.
We gotta date ourselves here.
But I don't know. I mean, that's
I don't have a problem with capturing the PCs instead of killing them, as long as it makes sense. If a band of drow kill a party, I have no problem capturing the PCs. You've got the slave lords. That whole thing. You wake up in a slave pit, so that makes sense. If a bunch of hobgoblins or gnolls kill a PC, they're dinner. They're not keeping you hostage.
maybe
They have no reason to.
maybe they only kill maybe hobgoblins, right? In that case, I'm just throwing this out there. Maybe they kill one of the PCs, right? And then they capture the rest of them because they don't want to kill all of them because
Right.
then
they're
the
going
meat's
to put them in
gonna
the food
spoil.
storage. Sure.
Yeah. So
Although
they,
I don't think gnolls are really that picky, but I get your point, and that's fine too. But again, it just has to make sense.
yeah.
When we wiped to the spiders several months ago, sorry, you're the party's dead. The only exception that would be if there were a reason that there was, like some of those villagers that we had just interacted with, if they saw the fight happen and they managed to beat the spiders off in time to rescue us. We're all wrapped up in cocoons, we're all paralyzed and poisoned, but they rescue us. I would be okay with that. But everybody knows I get really salty when my characters die, unless it's heroically.
Sure.
But as long as it makes sense, I'm never going to pitch a fit about it. It just needs to have good story to it, and I'm fine. Either way, coming back or not. But I do agree. There's definitely a point where it's like, you've brought us back. You've saved us too many times.
Yeah.
So now, just like we were talking about at the beginning of the discussion, now I
Right.
don't fear death anymore. So I'm just going to be stupid in my play style. So you just got to be really careful of the balance.
For me, the whole capture thing, I treat it as more. It's how the players react to the situation. If they're getting their ass kicked, and they want to, hey, say they're fighting those drow, and the drow are like, basically order them to surrender. If they drop their weapons and surrender, maybe they'll take them captive and bring them in as slaves, and then the adventure can go on because maybe they get a chance to escape and move on. If the players say screw that, we're going to the death and fight, they're going to TPK.
Yeah.
I'm not going to have any mercy on them at that point. They had the opportunity to save themselves. And I have stressed this with them. Combat might not always be the option. If you're over your head, turn and run, or surrender. Or when we played the Lost Citadel, they ran into those Ettercaps right away, and they almost died. 2 of them, and they got their ass kicked. So when they ran into 2 Ettercaps later in the dungeon, the Ettercaps, they talk about how greedy they are, and they're just about the treasure. So they basically, there was 4 players and 2 Ettercaps, and they were scared to death of them. The Ettercaps basically demanded, payment to let them go, and they threw down their gold and walked away. So they learned the lesson on that one and figured out that maybe not every combat is worth it. They were scared of them because they fought them. They saw that they could put them in webs. They saw they had 2 attacks. They really got hurt by 2 of them.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think my players have learned, now, by now, especially not that some of them needed to learn it or whatever, like Jason knows, obviously, but like the other players, I think picked up pretty quick that like I'm not pulling any punches, and and they've got to the point where now they're like, oh, that's an evil caster. Yeah, let's not do this. Like, she's got a wolf and some, like, let's go the other direction. We're out of here, guys. Like, sorry. we're
You
done.
should have just killed them that night, but but whatever.
Yeah. Well,
You
yeah.
know?
And Matt, that I don't remember the name of it. There's something akimbo. What was that? The Morkborg thing that you ran.
Yeah,
It
it's
wasn't Guns Akimbo, right? It was something akin to that, though, wasn't it?
yes, it's like blades or something. Yeah,
Blades Akimbo, probably. Yeah, that would be an interesting module to run after like a TPK.
Oh,
or
after you get
something.
captured, yeah. Instead of getting killed, you get thrown, you get knocked out and taken as like gladiators, and you have to fight your way out. Yep.
You wake up and you've got these like weapons like stitched into your hand, like, you know, stapled and tied like to your hands and stuff, and you're like thrown into like a fighting pit type of situation, and you kind of got to fight your way out. And that was interesting, and so that, you know, came to my mind as something that you could do with if it was like humans or whatever, you know, if like a bunch of bandits, you know, TPK a party, like that seems like something fun that they would do, you know, throw people into a pit and, you know, make them fight it out or whatever, just for entertainment.
Or, you know, they would hold you hostage. I can totally see that. You know, these are adventurers.
Yeah.
They've got money. Especially, you know, like, go back to the CNC campaign where our 8th level characters, you know, we ruled the town, and it wasn't like, we're ruling this town, but like anytime the town needed something, they came to us. So if we had gotten captured and then a month later a messenger arrived saying we've got your people, pay us and we'll send it back to you, I have no doubt that the town would make every effort to raise that money. That would make sense. That would be a good story.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's interesting. Some of that stuff, you know, and you know, we had the one with the one character get captured, and then that kind of he ended up leaving anyway, but because he's got some other things going on Sundays now. But so yeah, I don't know. Like that's something where I feel like maybe I should have just killed him when, you know, but I was trying to like I pulled the captured thing, and, you know, I figured, you know, things would have gone different, but then we switched.
Yeah. But, you know, but he was alone, you know, and he had such a habit. This particular player that we're talking about, he had a constant habit of, I'm going to go off by myself and I'm going to go do this. So, you know, he leaves, doesn't tell anybody where he's going. He just left. And so, you know, we all meet up next Sunday. And we're like, oh, where's so-and-so? I don't know. In fact, we even did that. We asked around town, hey, have you seen so-and-so? And they're like, no, we haven't seen him. All right, well, he's out doing his solo gig again. It never would have occurred to me that, oh, wow, he's been captured by the drow that dumbass was trying to get his freaking Matic back. He was trying to get his magic pickaxe. So, we ran away from those guys for a reason.
You make it sound terrible.
You know, they had 16 fire giants and a drow sorceress. Yeah, I have no desire to go back there because you wanted a magic pickaxe. It's not happening. So, yeah. Well, yes, that's what it was. It's a magic pickaxe.
Yeah, I know.
A Mannequin of the Titan said he couldn't use because he wasn't big enough, but he insisted on using anyway, so he never hit anything. Oh, God. Just... It's the same guy with the Minotaur axe from Shadow Dark.
Yeah.
Anyhow.
Yeah. Awesome. No, good time. Also, Mike, because you've ran the dungeon and they're done with it now. The only thing that they haven't finished is the pillar room, and that's like on the to-do list that I don't think they're ever going to go back to, but it's there. But
it is not on Dipshit's to-do list. He's forgotten about that room.
He realized the same guy that's fired. He realized that if he put a head on the Minotaur's horns, the statue, that he got a strength bonus.
Yeah.
So he kept going in there, and, you know, beheading everything they'd find. He'd behead it and go, you know, oh, we got to stop in the main room, and he like put the thing on there. And I'm rolling D4, and I think he did it like 3 times, and I'm rolling a D4, and it never happened.
My guys destroyed it.
Really? Yeah.
Yeah, they destroyed it because I forgot what it was made out of, but we had this debate about whether they could
Bronze.
destroy it or not. No,
Bronze, I think.
no. The main room
not
one
bronze?
was No, hang on, I got it right here. It
So
Oh, is that the?
It's-
It's like
was stone. It was like
alabaster or something.
So what would happen if you rolled poorly? I kept waiting for something bad to
Spoiler
happen
alert.
because why wouldn't it?
Spoilers. If anybody doesn't want to know, please to cover your ears. You turn into a beast man.
God, I would have loved to have seen that.
I know.
it was black onyx.
Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, well, it's a 25% chance, right?
Each plus 1 point of strength. Each additional time cumulative 1 in 4 chance of transforming into a beast man.
Oh, it's
Cumulative.
Yeah. So 1 in 4 chance. So you
Yeah.
put it on
First
once,
time.
you get a plus 1
Right.
strength. Second time there's a 1 in 4 chance, then a 2 in 4, 3
Yeah,
No,
in
two
4.
and four. Yeah,
yeah,
I
2
was
and 4,
rolling a
3.
D4 every time.
That-
Yeah.
So Roger messed it
So,
up.
so I screwed
My-
that up. Yeah,
my
I was
players-
rolling 1 and 4.
My players
You
never
could've seen
figured
the
out
Build a
any of
Beast
those
Man.
puzzles. The whole thing about like the bowls with the people staring up to the sky with the black rain coming down. They tried everything, putting things
Yeah.
in the bowls. They never tried blood. And that was
Yeah.
healing.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
They
they
did that. They figured that out.
No, they didn't
The,
figure out any of
The
them.
bulls, they left the guy alive. The guy with the bulls with the donations, and
Just-
like one of my players, Ken, put money in the bowl,
Yeah.
and I gave him a luck token.
Yep.
And then they left the guy alive. They were talking to him, and
It's
like
like
it's-
Giuseppe.
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 And then
Yeah.
as soon as they leave the room, they go in the next room. I took the luck token back from the guy because
But I picked my thief
left the
picked his
room.
pocket though. I was very pleased.
Did
with
it?
this.
Did it
as soon
say?
as he leaves,
Did they say
yeah,
they
'cause as
lose
soon
it?
as- as soon as the money's pulled out, because Giuseppe pulled that coin right out of the thing.
Oh, so they left the coin
Oh.
in there, but they let Giuseppe go, but they made him leave the room before they.
Well, so they left, and then Giuseppe just stole the coin.
Nice.
Welcome, Dan. I'm glad you made it. Did you see Dan's
Nice, Dan. He's
touch?
watching last week's show. Well, different Matt this week.
and I wasn't there for that one either.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
right. That's right. That's cool.
Yeah,
Well, welcome to the party.
glad you made it.
So, yeah, we're talking about death and dying today, Dan, mostly. And by mostly, I mean
Every now and then.
20%.
Sort of.
Sort of.
Sort of
Uh,
talking
yeah.
about it.
Sort of.
No, I think you got to have that stuff make sense though. Like I know on the player end of it, like I hate the feeling that I'm being saved by the game master. I hate it.
Yeah.
Like I'd rather have my character die than have that happen. Like I've had in my Cast Crusades game, we've had a couple instances. There was one that was it was one round from being a TPK. They were climbing down this friggin' they were in a cave. They're going in the Underdark, climbing down, and they got attacked by a cloaker, which it had the party ranger all wrapped up, and then it was letting off its sound, and we were one round from everybody just going into the trance and falling down that shaft, and that would have killed the entire party. Not one of them would have survived that fall. So that was pretty close. And then the ranger would have ended up dead too. So then in the Underdark again, this was kind of on the fly. They were fighting a drow slave patrol, and I started dropping like character after character with sleep poison, and I could tell that they were getting nervous, and even I was like, oh, this is about to go in a direction I didn't really prepare for. Like I thought they'd probably mow their way through, but like they immediately dropped like my son's ranger, like he charged in to help somebody and flat shot, failed his save, down he goes. I was like, oh boy, this is not good. And but that would have been easy because I was like, oh, they're gonna wind up just about naked, none of their gear, and they're going to be prisoners if that happens. I can make that happen. It makes sense. Drows take slaves. They're big on it. I mean, real drow do, not wizards of the
Yep.
Um,
Oh,
coast drow.
Well, yeah.
They probably give out like welcoming gifts and
Lollipops
shit,
and
but
thanks for coming.
lollipops and
and sunshine stickers and all
I
sorts
thought
of
drow were
nonsense.
evil. No, not
Yeah.
at all.
No,
No,
not these.
no.
So yeah, so that would have been an
It's
easy
just
one.
they're
to
just
figure out.
misunderstood. That's all. They're just
That's
misunderstood.
Misunderstood. There you
Yeah.
go. Yeah.
Yeah. And then in my last session, in that same mushroom grove, they had to make saves to get through it, and if they didn't, they would like kind of like getting consumed almost. Like these vines would come out attached to their heads, pull them up, and over hundreds of years, they're going to be sort of absorbed into this grove. And I had like the first two characters went through as scouts, the ranger and the thief, and they made it through no problem. And then the rest of the characters made it. They got to a certain point, and then the cleric looked back and realized they were missing the NPC paladin, and he was like, "Oh crap!" So because he failed to save, face down, dragged off. So that group turned around to help, and then every one of them failed their save, and they all went down. So it was
Wow.
left of the rogue and the thief, and thankfully they were smart because they had items that I didn't even remember that they had from when they were in the Underdark that they could. I don't remember what the spell is, but it was this thing. Basically, it created this bubble around their head, and they were able to get through and rescue everybody. But like that would have been a TPK for sure. Like they would have all wound up as part of that grove, getting digested or absorbed. So yeah, I mean, but it has to make sense. Like if you're,
Yeah.
like I said, I hate the feeling I'm being saved by the DM. Just let my character die. Like I'll make a new one. I
Yeah,
mean, I
Edgelord
like the
mentions
characters
that
and
too.
stuff, but I
That
don't want
seems
to
to make sense.
Yep.
But yeah, you're right. If you do it more than once, or it really gets old.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
No,
a great
I hear you.
adventure
You don't want to be
for sure.
saved by the GM every time. Yeah.
Mm-mm.
And I'm sometimes I'm bad at that. So I admit that. Sometimes.
I get just as invested in the characters as my players do, right? So like I kill characters, but it's not something like you'll see some guys comment and it's almost like they relish it. Like and I don't. It happens because the dice
Yeah.
fall where they fall. But I'm invested in their, like I always tell my guys, I'm like secretly I'm rooting for you guys. I want you to succeed. I'm just doing everything
Sure.
I can to keep that from happening.
Well, I think you
And-
have to. You have to as a
Yeah.
GM because otherwise
Yeah.
your story ends. Well, whatever
Right, it's
story or
over.
adventure or thing that you're trying
Yeah.
to run through, like if everybody dies, like that story stops. Like so.
Right. So I got to throw all this stuff, and then you guys overcome it, and I'm just as thrilled when they're victorious. I'm like, that's awesome. You guys did this. Oh, that's great. But yeah, it has to make sense. I've done some things in the past where no, those two characters were still alive. They were just down, and then there were two dead characters. So yeah, it has to make sense, and if it doesn't, they need to die. Like I think it cheapens the game and the experience, honestly.
Do you guys? It's a question for everybody, I guess. So, do you guys fudge rolls?
I roll everything right in the open. I don't
me
use a
too.
screen. I roll it right in front of them. So,
Yeah, me
like,
too.
to get on what Stevens just said, I don't enjoy killing players either, but I don't kill players.
Players
they
kill players.
They have a scenario. They could decide if it's too tough. Because one of the guys made a comment about that. He goes, I don't know why the rest of these guys don't run. He goes, because the few times that we have run, he goes, you generally don't have the monsters chase us forever. I'm like, if you make the choice to run, I'm usually going to let you get away. You're making the choice for self-preservation. You've realized you're over your head and you run.
Yeah.
So if you choose not to run and you stay and fight, and I roll that die and I roll
There
a
you go.
natural 20 and just crit you and killed you, that's on you.
Yeah. Player decision kills characters.
A lot of that is system dependent, though. And I've complained about this before. Basic fantasy was miserable. If you're wearing any armor that is heavier than leather, your speed is automatically cut down to 20. There's not a monster in the game that can't go faster
You're
than
not
20,
gonna-
which means
Right.
you can never get away. That's one of the things I really do like about Castles of Crusades. Before any action in the round is determined, if you say I am disengaged,
Oh yeah, you withdraw.
Yeah.
Or
I am
disengage, yeah.
running away. Cool. You don't even roll initiative. You run. And and then
Yeah.
the DM, it's up to the DM whether or not they want to pursue. In fact, we did that with Shadow Dark 2 weeks ago. We got 0 experience the whole night, and it was frustrating. But we didn't get any experience because we kept having to run away from the monsters. We were checking out a ruined castle, or a keep, really is what it was. We went to go explore this keep. Turns out it was occupied. We kept getting spanked. So we were like, run away. And I was laughing because I'm seeing Monty Python on my head. Run away, run away. And that's what we were doing. And, it's like we were kiting these orcs because I'm playing an archer. So like we run away and I take a couple of shots and we run away some more. But it really got to a point where Rodder's like, the orcs they're not chasing anymore. They've given up. And I was like, man, thank God. Because we were all like 5 first level characters, and there was like 15 orcs and a drow priestess, and I was like, oh, we were way outclassed, and a wolf that was going to tear us apart. So yeah, running should always be an option, and I've never understood why, if you're playing a system that will allow you to run, why you won't run. Don't let your pride as a player overrule your character's common sense.
Right.
And
Well, a lot of that, I
some of
think,
that-
is like the newer mentality. You know what I mean? Like 5e, especially, and it started with third edition, I think. Where they start talking about CRs and
Yes.
here's how to make a character level, or here's how to make a encounter
Yes.
level, and you do all this math and figure this out, and then this is
Because
the
there's a
the
generation of
party that the group could handle.
yeah.
And then
Okay.
and then you generate all your encounters that way, and then the players know, oh, hey, he's using the generation in the book, everything is doable for us.
right.
Yep. Exactly.
Stan, wasn't it you that said you completely ignore the challenge ratings or the challenge levels of monsters? Like
In
your
fifth
character, you're like,
edition.
oh, it's an orc, but that doesn't mean he's just a first level.
Oh,
orc.
yeah.
That could be
Oh hell no!
Thorog, the
Like,
9th level fighter.
Yeah.
my games are like that. Like I'll take like I had one of the early big bads in my Castle Crusades game was a Bugbear, and he was he was in charge of this war band. He was also like a 10th level fighter. Like he had 10 fighter levels, and he was a badass. So like my guys have no idea most of the time. Like if I drop something on the table, or they have no idea what I've always wanted to. I had this character years ago, a guy that played my game. He played this fighter in a 3rd edition game, and he was a badass. Like we used to call him, his name was Vengarm, and we used to call him Vengarm the Vegematic because he had 1 billion attacks, and he critted on like a natural 15 or better. And he would just, and I always wanted to build like his nemesis from a goblin and make like this super badass goblin and have him roll out, like Yoda and Attack of the Clones come creeping in and like, oh, what's this guy going to do? And then just mess him up. I never got a chance to do it, but yeah, I do that all the time because one, it keeps veteran players still on their toes. So they don't see something and be like, oh, I know how to fight that. That's a troll, or that can do this. I'm like, yeah, that's a troll with like Berserker Rage from Hyperborea in it or whatever. I do that all the time.
That's something I liked about the 2nd edition Monster Manual, is that when you get reading about the ecology of it, so you'll get an orc and it might say it's 1 hit dice. But then you read down below and they're like, oh, well, if you have a group of orcs here, you'll have
a 3rd level.
This
Yeah,
captain,
sure.
there might be a 3rd level,
Yep.
and you might have a 4th level shaman with them, and then you might have a chieftain with them that, and you can, there's nothing saying you can't do it. I've always done that with my characters too. You never know what you're going to get,
That's what I liked about. I started doing that because of 3rd edition, because I played a lot of 3rd edition, and I loved the basically either the templates that they had for different things, or that you could give pretty much every monster class levels, and that was the way you made them tougher. And
Yeah.
I just with CNC, I did that, I'm sure, with 5th edition, but with Castle Crusades, because it's built out of 3rd edition, it's super easy to do. I do that all the time.
Yeah, no, I do that with like bosses or things like
especially
that.
bosses. And I'll take stuff though, because like, yeah, the campaign we're almost 4 years in. They're between 7th and 9th level, but sometimes like they're going to fight. There's going to be there's a war coming, and they're going after this hobgoblin chieftain. They know, like they're not. I'm not going to roll out 2 hit dice hobgoblins, like that guy's going to be a problem, right? So I don't think it's a spoiler to if the guys are watching that it's not going to be a hobgoblin straight out of the Monsters and Treasures book. Like
Yeah.
it just makes the game. I can still use those core monsters and stuff, orcs, goblins, all that stuff. I can still use those things even into the higher levels of the game.
That was something I liked about these books I bought for OSC. The BX Advanced Bestiary. It's all the same stuff from the regular Bestiary, but what they did was they go and like you go to like troll, and they might have like 5 different types of trolls and different variations of them. This
I
one's
like
a
books like
caster.
that.
This, and it just gives you options, different
Yeah.
things that you can
Yep.
add to it that fall in line with the standard, because it literally takes the original Bestiary from OSC and then just advances every single one. And there's, I think, 4 volumes. I missed 3. 1, 2, and 3 are out. 3 was Kickstarted, and I missed it because I bought if you buy them PODs, they're okay. But these are the Kickstarter ones have the ribbons in them and the Smith Zone, and
Yeah.
so I got to see if I can pick up 3, because I'm still on the fence between ultimately if it's going to be Shadow Dark or OSC, because they're very similar, but OSC is definitely more advanced and more in line with the 2E game that I'm used to.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I'm not sure which ones I want to go with, but
Yeah.
But I wish more books like this would come out for OSC or for Shadow Dark.
With
Have
yeah,
you
with
seen,
like
for Shadow Dark, if you look at Drive-Thru, there's a book on there where somebody took all 6 Pathfinder 1 bestiaries and converted it into one book to Shadow Dark.
Yeah, that's true. That is there. That is there.
Wait, I'm sorry, say that again, because Leo was messaging me asking me if I can print him stuff. I'm like, I'm on stream right now, buddy. What
the Pathfinder
oh yeah,
beast, all the tomes of
right, I saw that.
somebody made all that for they went through and they redid them all for
Is it any good?
Shadow Dark. It's if you want the if you
it's
want
called
all the Pathfinder
It's called
guys.
Shadow Finder.
Shadow Finder, I think.
Best theory. Yeah, best theory for Shadow Dark RPG.
All of them? Isn't there 6 volumes to that?
Yeah, something
the
like
thing,
that.
The way he did it was there's no art in the book. Plus the Shadow Dark monster entries are considerably shorter than
Super short, sure.
Pathfinder
But still,
1.
I mean, that's 6 books worth of monsters.
So they're all there. Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. It's a 520
I don't
page
think
book, if that gives you
I don't think it's that hard for Shadow Dark to take like the Pathfinder bestiary and just use it. I mean, you don't use all the extra hit points and stuff. I mean, all the, you know what I mean? You just
some of the hit die things though are pretty high. Like I have all those bestiaries. I use them and I convert stuff to castles and crusades from it, which is easier to do. Obviously, but
yeah, I mean, you take like 75% of the hit dice or whatever.
Yeah,
but,
for sure.
But I think you could do it, on the fly for.
But my thing
Shadow
is,
Dark.
if somebody else has already done it, that's awesome.
Well, yeah, sure.
Saves me the legwork.
What do you guys think about replacement characters? So when a character dies, now normally, like we had a wizard last week, a guy rolled up a wizard, he had 1 hit point. So I gave him a second. I gave him a second character sheet before the session started and said,
"Here you go. You're gonna need this,
right, or whatever." Or then, or like, and in the session we had there was a prisoner that was there, that they kind of liberated. That was just just like a soldier or whatever, like a mercenary or whatever. But basically, what I did is one of the characters, he got knocked out, or he went to 0 and he got revived, but the cleric was out of healing spells. So, I just basically said, okay, here's this character, and then this other character that he just rolled that up as a soldier and was like, okay, this is your character for the for the remainder of the session, so he doesn't have to sit out, right, and do anything. And then that's his character now, right? If he wants to use it
Yeah,
or whatever.
I've
if
had
anybody,
guys
you know.
do that. I've had them play
Um,
henchmen, which then they took on as players, or
Yeah.
like
Yeah,
when I actually
yeah.
the it made you just maybe reminded me, like the Drow Patrol I talked about earlier that the party fought. Part of the reason that was in there is because I was trying to in the previous session one of the characters died and they're in the Underdark, so I was like, well, kind of limited here. So the new character was actually a prisoner of that patrol, and
Yeah.
they ended up
Yeah.
rescuing him. He stayed with the party, obviously, but yeah, I've had him do that. Like we playing my son's Dragon Slayer game, we had one of the PCs died, and they started playing like an NPC that we had rescued from one of the towers in Highfell that we were exploring, and then he kept that character, like that's his character now. He just
Yeah.
plays her. So
Yeah, I try and insert, things like that where it's possible. Sometimes it's harder. For
sure,
one
yeah.
shots. For one shots, it's easier to just say, "Hey, there's a barrel in the cave and a guy pops out of it."
And like with one shots too, I think it's like obvious. I like to have things make sense, but in a one shot, you also have to, suspend disbelief a little bit and be like, okay,
Sure.
I don't want you to sit there for the
Yeah.
next 3.5 hours because you
Right.
got murked in the first 30 minutes. So like, hey, this dude's rolling up the street. He's here to help you out or
Yeah.
whatever.
As long
Yeah.
as you can
You know.
make it make sense, like the wizard. I talked about how he had a dumbass moment and he almost got killed. We were fighting goblins or whatever it was, and there were 4 rooms. Easy. That wizard's dead. We kick open a door and there's another guy tied up there in the corner. He's
Yeah.
all beat to crap. They've been smacking him around. But okay, cool. That for me that makes sense. If it's a dungeon where, like in the in the Citadel one, it was ettercaps, and okay, you find somebody wrapped up in a spider web, that can make sense. As long as I don't feel like, oh God, this again, then I have no
Yeah.
problem with it. Because just like Ducato said, especially in Shadow Dark, your guy could very easily get killed in the first half hour of the game. I don't want you. I live an hour away from Roger. I drive an hour every Sunday to go play, then I have to drive an hour home. I drive an hour. I play for half an hour. My character dies, and there's no way for me to continue. I am
Yeah.
not going to sit there and watch you guys play for 3.5 hours. I'm going to drive home, and I'm going to be highly frustrated the entire way home. So, as long as there's, as long as it makes sense, cool.
There's only
harm
one time. There's only one time I've ever made a player wait, and this guy literally waited 3 hours to get in the game. He went over and sat on the couch and like literally took a nap and waited for us to bring him
Wow.
in. And the only reason I did it was because he didn't like his character stats and flat out told us he was going to purposely get him killed, and he did it. So I was like, okay, I'm not going to bend over backwards to bring you in the game.
Yeah.
And he went
Good
over
call.
and he sat on the couch and watched TV. Next thing you know, we look over and he's laying down asleep. And we're like, I'm like, you're not. And he does it constantly. He really does. He's the same guy. He only plays fighters. And if he doesn't like his stats, he's always like ready to get him killed. And I'm like, okay, man, if you do that,
Yeah.
just I can't tell you how I'm gonna react on it. I mean, I'm not going to get pissed and scream at him or anything, but if you do that, you might be sitting out waiting.
That's the right call. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I got a question for you guys about replacement characters. So
That's
it's more about party comp, right? So like if you're playing a game where you have a priest or a cleric and they die, how do you handle the party comp if that player doesn't want to come back as a different,
If
Father Bob the
that's-
second or whatever?
That's up to
Let
them.
me
and
just
they're gonna
answer
have
this
to
quick.
figure out-
My answer is an easy one. I don't give a shit about party composition.
Right.
Same.
Yeah, well, you may not as the person running the game, but the other players might if they don't have a healer anymore, right?
Sure.
I'm the player that does that, and I'm the eternal player of this crew. when we were playing Shadow Dark just not this past Sunday, but the Sunday before that, 3 rogue spellcasters and an archer and a merchant, some other support class. Oh no, Joe's playing a squire. No tank, no healer. And I was like, okay, this is gonna be a lot of fun. And that's one of the reasons that we had to keep running away. We had no one that could take a hit, no one that could toe the line, and no one that could heal. Man, it's called the Holy Trinity for a reason. You must have a tank, you must have a healer, and you must have DPS. Otherwise, all you're going to be doing is running away for 4 hours. So when we started playing this Sunday, I really was enjoying playing my scout. Everybody knows all I want to do is play a ranger. That's all I wanted to play this scout. But no one's playing a tank, and I'm not about to tell Ken, put your robe away and play a tank. No one should ever have that ability. No one has that right. We've talked about rights before. You don't have that right. So I'm like, I have no problem playing a tank. The only reason that I wouldn't play a cleric is, one, I hate the spellcasting system in Shadow Dark. I've been very vocal about that. And when we were playing C&C, I played a cleric for 18 months. I'm not playing a cleric again. Someone else is going to have to pick that role up.
What don't you like about the spellcasting?
It is strictly because my luck is horrendous.
Okay.
In fact, I even wrote the numbers down. Last week, I rolled exactly 30 times. 18 of my rolls were 9 or less. I'm not going to play a spellcaster. I'm not going to get to cast my spell.
So we tried a house rule that seems to be a common one with Shadow Dark, where what I did was said when you rest at night, you could choose one spell that you have protection on, and they could fail that spell as many times as they wanted until they successfully cast it at once. The only thing I didn't like about it was, it's okay when you're rolling and succeeding, firing off magic missile after magic missile. But the minute you start failing it, I got protection, and you could fail it 10 times in a row, and it's still, I don't know. It's one of those rules that I'm not sure if I like or not.
Right.
I thought about giving them the option of saying, listen, if you're worried about having to roll to cast, you can, when you make your character, you could tell me, you could choose one of two options. Either you can cast every spell one time without fail.
Advance in, yeah.
Or you roll to cast and you can fail them.
Yeah.
If you cast them once every time, that means, hey, you got 4 spells. That's all you can cast is those 4 spells.
So we're tangenting on my tangent. So just to get so Jason, it sounded to me like you were saying you maybe bit the bullet, and for the purposes of team comp, you played a different.
Yeah, I made
class.
I made a tank.
Yeah,
and again, quick tangent, and then I promise I'll stop. Thanks to Greg, Chubby Funster, his player companion, man, those classes, I love them. There's like 5 different tanks, a bunch of different spellcasters. So I was like, the soldiers got cool abilities. I'll play this. So I have no regrets. But yeah, if Roger has said, I don't care about player or party composition. He let us go in like a bunch of dumbasses with no healing tank, and I'm like, this is pointless.
That's kind of where I'm at, right? Is like you almost sort of just have to say, look, if you guys want to play on hard mode, like that's on you. You just have to understand it's going to change. Like I think most fantasy, because this is mostly a fantasy game issue, I think more so than most other genres. Sure. I think most fantasy modules assume the players are doing, to your point, Jason, they have those base classes covered, and you're sort of unbalancing yourself against the adventure as written if you don't do that. And that's a choice. I think it's fine if that's the choice you want to make. But yeah, I was just kind of curious how you handle that, because it definitely, with new players especially, I think sometimes they don't really understand. I think people that play video games probably understand this pretty well if you've played the right kind of video games, but man, it really will break. It will break how a module works if you don't have. I mean, even things like, we don't have any detect magic. We don't have any light spells. Like, to your point, we don't have anyone that can detect traps. We don't have anybody that can heal. I think sort of just Well, sorry, just real quick. So I was going to say, like, one of the things that I've sort of like now are games, and I like Shadow Dark a lot. But I think what's cool about when you start to get more and more of these classes, and I talked before about the standard classes in DCC, is these sort of not multi-classing, but the classes that sort of pull from two different places, so that it's not as rigid. Like you're stuck in just a support role, you're stuck in just a tank role. The characters that can sort of maybe flex a little bit. I think that over time, those games I think are more appealing to me because it just gives the players more options when they do lose a character. They're not just stuck in that role. And I think a lot of tables do have people that are like, I don't care. This is what I like, and I don't give a crap what it does to the party comp or how hard it makes it. And there's usually one or two people that will flex because they know what that means if they don't have those roles filled. So
when we played this game, we had 4 players, and they decided they were each going to play one core class. So we had a fighter, a wizard, a cleric, and a thief. The thief died, and he decided that he was going to make a cleric. So we now had 2 clerics, a fighter, and a wizard.
it's arguably better, but continue.
And it definitely made them way more survivable.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily agree with Jason's assessment. I think calling it the Holy Trinity is you're taking from video games where it's a requirement, and I don't think it's a requirement. Yes, you definitely want somebody that could take hits, but in our 2E game, we had a bard that had a higher armor class than.
Yeah,
than
but
our
2E is the kind of game I'm talking about, though, where it has lots of different classes that can flex.
Yeah. And you don't have to be a fighter to be a tank, like you just said. Or Castles and Crusades, the bard in CNC is a scald. Yeah. He can wear armor, and he's got I think a D10 or a D12 for hit points. He's beefy. So you don't have to be a fighter to be a tank. That's not what I mean. You have to have someone that can take a hit, someone that can hold the front line, so that your spellcasters aren't being whacked.
Equipment and playstyle come into that too, right? So like certain classes, if you equip them a certain way, they're going to play differently. So there's that too.
Yeah, that's the thing, though. I don't like shoehorning that into, like, you're saying, okay, well, there's a Skald. He can be a tank. Well, he could, but he could also be a lot of other things. He doesn't have to be a tank. So
I'm not saying he has to be, but there's
right. But you're going by the theory that you have to have that Trinity to survive, and you don't.
No, I don't think he's saying that. I think, and I agree with this. I think what he's saying is there's an assumption in most modules as written that they are balanced to expect that you have those abilities inside of your party.
You can
play so if you don't have it, if you want. Yeah, you can. Yeah.
But if you're going to do that, you need to adjust your play style, and you need to be prepared to. You can't go in with a bunch of soft skins and play it like you would a balanced party. They're not the same, and you can't play them the same. In fact, this Sunday, the 2 soft skins got whacked, and so now we've got a third soft skin. It's like, I'm going to cast Mage Armor and run up, and I was like, what do you do? Okay, you're going to cast Mage Armor, so now your armor class is 14 instead of 10, but you have 2 hit points. You are going to get hit. Don't do that.
He failed his Mage Armor, and that was a short trip. Anyway,
thankfully, he failed his Mage Armor.
Here's the thing, though. Every BX game, Backbeat game, or BX derivative, OSE, everything except for Shadow Dark, you don't even get clerics. Do not even get healing. Do not even get a spell at first level. You got to learn how to play without having that. Because I've got players at my table that are like, "Well, that's stupid. How do you play it?" I don't know. People have done it for freaking 50 years. You got to figure out how to play. And maybe that means don't stand toe-to-toe every time. You do some running. But the cleric is a fighter. They can put on the same armor. They've got just below them in hit points.
Oh, yeah. No, for sure. In Shadow Dark, you could have – you don't need to have a fighter in theory. I mean, you can – but still, you're still talking about party comp, though, right? Like, it's still not having any magic users is definitely, like, a bold choice. And, like, modules are not going to expect that that's what you're doing. So, I was just curious. This might be a whole show's topic here. I was just curious because I've seen this come up a lot, right? It's like, hey, the wizard died. Like, well, is your replacement character gonna be a wizard, or what are we doing here? Like that. I've seen that happen a lot.
Right.
So
I actually
that
think
depends on the stats.
I think it's less of an issue in my game because while I'm not running it, somebody's going to take over running it for a couple months. We're still running Shadow Dark, and it's still my group. and we've just added 2 more players. So I don't know how many guys you play with, but we just went from 4 to 6.
Well, that's the
6
other
gives
thing.
you a
Yeah,
little more.
if you have 5 or 6, you've got a lot more flexibility there. And certain games, like you were talking about having a stronghold, like you could have some games assume you have a rotating cast of. I mean, what
Right.
Dark Sun is written that you expects you to have these other characters. So
Right.
And that's-
there's certain
and that's how my
that's
games
certainly
run.
part of it. Yeah, yeah.
That's definitely how my game is run. So I mean, I guess when I say I don't care about that, it's more of like, hey, I leave it to the players. Like if
Right.
the
Same.
cleric dies, I'm not going to have a new cleric pop out of a barrel. It's
Right.
going to be whatever they get, right? But my players are all very well aware of, hey, I want everybody to have a stable of characters. And then it's kind of cool because in the beginning of the session, they say, okay, we're going to go into this place, right, where there's a bunch of undead. Okay, there's 5 of us. Maybe 2 of us should be clerics, or even 3 of us, whatever. Or, hey, we're going to storm this castle or this keep, right, and it's full of orcs. Like, let's all go with a fighter class, and you know what I mean? And maybe we don't need a wizard. Maybe we do need a wizard. Maybe you need 2 wizards. You know what I mean? But the players can kind of figure that out and say, hey, this is how we want to approach this. And this is how we want to, like, hey, if we're going to sneak into the castle, you need, 1 or 2 rogues. Well,
Yeah.
we got to restart, guys.
Yep.
Well, Shelby,
Fine,
you
let's
missed
gotta
me
restart.
praising your player companion multiple times. So we were plugging your product, man.
Chubby's too busy on Twitter telling people to turn down the resolution of their monitors.
Cleric in a barrel. That sums up what you missed, Chubby.
I
Cleric in a barrel.
installed the 2nd edition core rules on my computer the other day, and it's on Windows 11, and it had issues with 10. I got it installed just fine on 11, and somebody was asking me how to do it, so I helped him out. So he just posted, how do you make it bigger? Because it's a little window and it doesn't go up. And Chubby comes in and he goes, well, if you just lower the resolution, it'll be full screen.
Aren't you glad you bought that 4K monitor?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. Chubby, thanks for the support. We appreciate it. No, we praise some of your stuff. Been talking about death and dying, and maybe got off tangent, maybe once for a couple minutes.
Maybe once. Chubby, if I go and buy your player's companion, am I going to have to buy another one in a couple months when you get an update?
I think, like I said, no, I think the player's companion is fantastic. I can almost reach mine. I think it's good. I mean, despite we mentioned there were a couple typos in it. Jason sent those in, and but it's pretty good. I mean, I like it. I like
love
having
it,
the
man.
extra
I
classes
think the
and
classes are
stuff
great.
that are in there. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I think they add a lot, and so what I decided was to add that into the campaign that I'm running instead of the other stuff. I forget what Kelsey calls them there, 1 through 6.
Curse scrolls.
The curse scrolls, yeah. Just because it's more stuff that I don't physically have, and then there's more physical books and stuff. I'd rather just have the core book and then one other book. That's just a personal thing.
I was a little annoyed when Roger told us in Discord that we were going to be using the PC, the Player's Companion, and not the Curse Scrolls, because I was like, okay, we're not going to be using official publications. But what really annoyed me was the Ranger is in Curse Scrolls 4, and everybody knows I want to play a Ranger.
Yeah.
So I was a little pissed. But then I opened up the Player's Companion, and there is a Ranger class, and then there's 2 other classes that are Ranger adjacent. And I was like, I like these even better. So the Archer and the Scout, both of those classes are so freaking cool. And I also think the Explorer is kind of Ranger adjacent.
Explorer's kind of there,
He's got the pathfinding ability. As for the typos, like Mike's asking Mike to buy another copy, it's worth buying it. It's a great book. I
only asked that because if he's like going to push an update, if he's pushing an update to the PDF in the next 2 weeks, then I'll wait before I order the print copy.
It does not seem to be the case.
But if it's going to be a while, then I'll just order it and be happy with it.
Yeah.
He's working on new stuff for us. Or
yeah,
I'm just putting this out. we could play Shadowrun. I'm just, it's an option.
We could play Shadowrun, yeah. My only issue with, and not, this isn't really a big issue. My only issue with switching to Shadowrun is there's less out there for it. Like there's no more classes than what's in the core book.
Yeah, but you don't need anything
You know,
else.
there's right. I'm just saying, like, I mean, and I think I want to run it. I don't want to try running it in this campaign.
Sure.
I think I want to do
it's its own gig.
short thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So, cool. And then in a sewer. That's always fun.
Chubby, my
enemies- yes,
my players just ran into 4 dark battles and they kept losing their light sources.
Yeah, awesome.
Should you feel bad? You know,
No.
you're telling the story, and it's just the way it goes.
Wait, Chubby. Did the players on their own volition go into the sewer?
Yes. Then no, you should not feel bad.
Did they make that choice, or did you physically force them down the down the sewer cover? Because if they went in there on their own volition, then I mean that's everything that happens is on them. And if they die, you know, I mean, you know, they die. So yeah,
Drago
Fun.
said that.
sometimes. What's that?
Drago said that.
Yeah.
If he dies, he dies.
There you go. If he dies, he dies. Yeah, you're right. So yeah, they went in there by choice. So the death is definitely on them. It's not on you.
It's their fault.
You know, it's their fault. They should have ran while they could.
You know, I was disappointed when they lost their light source because I could have sworn I read that they're at disadvantage, which they are, and I thought that the enemies, the dark adapted enemies, were at advantage, but they're not. I don't know where I read that, but
No, because they're
was like, oh,
used to
God.
that. Yeah. I mean, come on though. You can't.
that
I
would be
mean,
kind of
that's like-
brutal.
that'd
Yeah.
be super brutal.
Yeah.
You know, to do that. Oh man. I mean, then you definitely have a TPK or something.
Edgelord, are you talking about the Robert Aspen series, Thieves World? Is that what you're talking about? It's
Yeah,
gotta be.
probably.
That-
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what it sounds
Man,
like.
I think I was 12 or 13 when I picked up my first Thieves World book. I found it in a used bookstore. My parents and I were on vacation somewhere. Dude, Thieves World is such a great series. I was reading Forgotten Realms and D&D heroic fantasy.
Yeah.
Everybody's an asshole in that series, and I was like, man, this is incredible. It's such a great
Yeah, it's good
series.
stuff.
Yeah. Some of that stuff is good stuff. That's why I kind of latched on to some of the Joe Abercrombie stuff.
Oh yeah, those are great.
Because there's no like all the heroes or whatever, like they're not heroes. They're scumbags at best.
They're just
you know
out to
that.
survive.
Yeah. And
Those are great.
it's like some of them are awful. You know, they're just terrible people. And it's
His
awesome.
latest book is probably one of my favorite books ever. Like the Devils. That's awesome.
Yeah, is it good?
I love
Really?
that book. Oh, I love it. I've listened to it twice on Audible, and I
Nice.
bought a hard copy. That's how much I
I've
like it.
only read the First Law trilogy.
Those are good. Those are great.
That's it.
The Devils
There's,
is totally unconnected.
Devils
from
is
any of
completely
that.
separate. And then there's
Completely
another
separate.
trilogy of his that I want that's based in that world. It's like a prequel or something, I think, or maybe it takes place after.
There's a sequel.
Yeah, okay.
So there's the original trilogy, then there's 3 other books that are connected, but
Yeah.
they're not. Those are great. I've
Yeah, I
listened
wanna
to
read
them all.
those, yeah.
And then the other trilogy is kind of like the next gen, like it's moving to the next
Okay.
generation. There's some
Well,
of the same
I love-
characters, but some new ones.
In
They're
the
awesome.
original trilogy, there's the one character that's like actually like the hero character. He's like a knight or something, and he's in shiny armor, and he's like pretty looking and all of that stuff. And he gets sucked in and goes out with these guys, and he gets like the shit kicked out of him, and his
Yeah.
face gets all mangled. He's like
Yeah.
losing teeth and all
face.
that, and he's like worried about like, oh, is my girl gonna love me when I come back? Because he's missing teeth and everything.
Yeah.
And it's like awesome. That whole like part of that is really. And then there's the one guy like Logan, and he's just like oh, it's chicks dig scars. You'll be fine. Like,
Yeah.
you'll be fine. It looks fine, and they're like, oh
Yeah.
boy, that's terrible.
Logan's great. Logan is.
I,
They're all
I
great.
love him.
They're
Logan
super
Nine
great
Fingers,
characters.
is awesome.
Matt, did your
But,
question
yeah,
ever get
that's
answered? Did we come to a consensus on that? I mean, I know that Mike disagrees. Okay.
I think so.
Yeah, party composition matters
Yeah.
to some people.
Yeah. I just leave it up to the player. Like it matters to me when I'm a player. It doesn't matter to me when I'm a game master.
Yeah,
It's
right.
up to
I mean,
them.
it wasn't
It's up to
that
them
I
to figure out.
disagree. I don't think party composition. I think it's up to the players if they want to.
Yeah.
If they want to try and do it with 4 fighters, go ahead. It may not turn out well, but go ahead.
Yeah.
I was just disagreeing that I don't think using the terminology, putting it in video game terms of having to have the Holy Trinity, I don't think that really applies. Especially when you start talking about like you just mentioned, all the classes out of the player companion.
Yeah.
You have a lot of classes that might have crossover.
Sure.
Maybe you
Sure.
don't have a cleric, but maybe you have a paladin that can lay on hands, and that's
Yeah.
you squeak by with
but-
healing from that.
But
Or-
I feel like you're arguing against something that I didn't say. I'm not saying you have to have a fighter. You have to have a cleric. You have to have someone that can take a hit. You have to
Yeah.
have someone that can do some manner of healing, even if it's the ridiculous delusionist from Castles and Crusades. Or be prepared to take losses. I just
Right.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. Like in DCC, right? If you don't have a cleric, like if people go down, they just die. Like right? Like there's no other class has healing capability. So I mean, it
Yeah.
really depends on the game. I think a lot of it has to do with what game it is and how flexible the classes are. Like trying to play. If you have a table of 6 and you're playing DCC and nobody wants to be a healer, nobody wants to be a halfling, like it just makes the game harder, and that's okay.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
Yes.
But and to your point though, there's other games that have dual classing and classes that are part healer and part so you get flexibility that you don't have. Like that's why, as much as I like the core Shadow Dark classes, I feel like if I was playing in a game and it was just those classes, I would get bored after a little while. And part of it is just because the game expects you to have. I think the thief is pretty superfluous. Unfortunately, I think it's in Shadow Dark. Fine, it is very dungeon focused, so like it sort of shoehorns in reasons to have a thief. But the more you're out of the dungeon, the less relevant I feel like they are.
Well, you just hit on my big concern about Shadow Dark long term is that it is so dungeon focused. Where 2E,
I don't know. I started running.
I think the new stuff is
outdoor
I
stuff.
think purposely the new stuff is designed to open that up, and that's why you need more classes.
so there's mechanics in there to facilitate hex crawling and whatever else, but the classes themselves don't have abilities. There's no abilities in there that are written to facilitate any type of play outside of dungeon crawling.
There is
Yeah,
in the player's companion.
Yeah, there is
I think
some,
the
yeah.
other stuff, there's things.
I would say for what it's worth, I don't necessarily have a problem with that. Like I think it's valuable sometimes to have a game that knows what it is and isn't trying to be everything. I think that's part of the problem with later editions of D&D is they're just trying to be everything to everybody.
Mhm.
And so they just do nothing well anymore. So if I want to play a game where I'm not a superhero and I'm raiding tombs and going into dungeons and stuff like that, like that's a good game for that. It's designed for that purpose.
Oh, I agree.
Yeah.
I agree, but it does very well at that purpose. But yeah, if you want to have a long drawn out campaign that's not just dungeon crawling, I mean, OSE's the same
Yeah.
way. OSE's the same way. I mean, it's really built around dungeon delving.
Well, and I think Shadow Dark is trying to emulate some of that with the idea of instead of maybe teleporting from you get a quest to the dungeon, it's, well, what if I want to have an open hex map and play it like a Bethesda open world game? And what does that look like? So they can flesh that out. They already have kind of in those first curse scrolls, they have classes that are more relevant to certain types of geography or biomes or whatever that you wouldn't expect to find other places. So I think she's doing a good job expanding it in places that make sense so far.
Well, I hope Dan's
Yeah.
right with, we've seen little bits that they've released, the previews they've released from Western Reaches.
Yeah.
I asked them, like Dolmenwood, for a year, you had Dolmenwood beta PDFs, and people have been playing it for a year before it released. And I asked them, and they, the Discord, I like, the Discord's pretty friendly, but man, there are some bootlickers in there. And when I asked the question about the PDFs, like, are we going to get beta versions before this goes to print? And they were all like, oh no, she wants it to be perfect before it goes out the door. And I'm like, I didn't ask you, Joe Blow
Yeah.
number 2, that decided to answer me. I'd
Yeah.
like an actual response, because
Yeah.
and they're like, well, that's too confusing to people. To who? If you put out a PDF that says it's a beta copy,
Yeah. So it's a beta.
and
People
everybody, the
understand.
only people that can get it are the people that backed it.
Right.
They understand it's a
Um,
beta; it's not a full release. So
So
I'm hoping that beyond the little previews we've seen, there's enough added in there that really fills in those blanks.
So Chubby mentioned one of the favorite aspects too is the Grievous Wounds table. That's another cool table that I considered adding into to Shadow Dark. We kind of mentioned that earlier. I know, talking about rolling on a chart when you go below 0. I don't know if my players would be into that. But maybe we'll try it and see what happens. Chubby also mentioned running a party of clerics to run religious quests, pilgrimages.
I want to be in that campaign.
I think that's cool. I think you could do that without necessarily having a party of all clerics. I mean, I get the appeal, right, to have all clerics, but I mean, I've given like player character, clerics, like more recently Jason, right, who's played Yohai, but like some divine missions or whatever, and the rest of the party kind of goes along with it and does it. I mean, because it kind of broadly affects the whole world anyway, But
I even started a crusade.
yeah,
I was the only
Yeah,
one that knew
so I
anything
mean-
about it, but I was happy I got to
Yeah.
do it.
yeah, there you go. And he mentions having a setting, Terra Invictus. I've seen that out there. I didn't realize that was for Shadow Dark. I think I thought that was for Axe, but yeah, I'm gonna have to check that out and see how that is, because that might work out fairly well. And yeah, they're fleshing out a lot of stuff in the Curse Scroll stuff. So yeah, we'll see what comes out. I definitely like Mike said, I'd love to see more of that stuff before having to wait for a final thing. But definitely looking forward for some of that.
It doesn't appear that we're going to see it. I mean, they've got some some preview stuff and whatnot, and that's fine. I'll deal with that. But it would just be nice, especially like I want to start a campaign now. I would love to see some of this other stuff to start introducing into my world, even if it's going to change a little bit before it's
Yeah.
finalized.
Yeah.
Are you talking about the Western Reaches? Is that what you're referencing? Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
Yeah. So yeah, no, I definitely want to see some of that stuff. But who knows? Hopefully it's going to come out soon, right? I guess I don't know what the I don't know if she's really said anything as far as when it's coming out, or
I don't think we're very close yet.
like we're working on it, so probably next year. I guess I don't know. I found Chubby's setting book there, Terra Invictus for Shadow Dark. I put the link in the chat there, so you guys can see that. I'll probably be checking that out and go from there.
I'm not attacking I'm not attacking Shadow Dark at all. I'm running Shadow Dark and playing in it. I like Shadow Dark.
Edgelord is the mock bootlicker for this discussion. How dare you? Kelsey is a living goddess.
My biggest problem is it's hard for me as a lifelong 2E player with lots of rules and lots of options to sometimes look at it and go, that's all there is? There should be more.
You're not the target audience, though. I think that's the thing, is the game isn't... I mean, obviously, people can play whatever they want, I don't even think Shadow Dark is for me really. I like it in small bursts for what it is. I think it was really sort of custom built to give 5e players a bridge into something better, and for that, I think it does a really good job.
Sure.
And it almost necessitates it having kind of a limited scope, which I mean.
Right.
Everybody, how many years of gaming do the five of us have added together? Like, I don't know that I think we can appreciate it for what it is while sort of saying, yeah, maybe we're not like forever the long, the target audience for this game.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I've been very vocal about my support with Shadow Dark, but even saying that, I keep glancing over at my shelf. I would much rather play Hyperborea, AD&D, even C&C, as much as they've frustrated me. I like Shadow Dark, but there are systems that I would much rather play because those systems are kind of ingrained into my play style.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think. Go ahead, Mike.
we did talk about for my upcoming campaign that I've gone back and forth. I told him I was going to run 2E, but I said I am willing to sit down, and if there are things about, like, say, Shadow Dark, if there's something you really like about it, if we can implement it into our 2E game and it makes sense, I'm all for it. If it's something that you enjoy, as long as it's not game breaking. I think, like, the spell casting, I don't know if that would work in AD&D. That gives them an awful lot of power.
I
Shadow
don't
Dark,
think it would work at
in
all.
Shadow Dark characters, whether people want to understand it or not, because there's only 10 levels, they are much more powerful than, say, like OSC characters or BX characters, BECMI characters, because they compact more power into smaller levels.
I think at lower levels, they're close, but
Maybe.
I think they quickly start to diverge.
But even at lower levels, when you start out with a caster that's got 3 spells in their book, and they rolled a cast, and they could potentially, if they're rolling hot that night, they could be casting, throwing
all night long. Yep.
Right. Yeah.
I understand that, but I think it definitely skews further and further apart. The higher level, but I think at first level, like, what I mean is, like, if you took an OSC adventure that was written for first or second level characters, you could run first or second level Shadow Dark characters, in that, and it would be fine. I think if you took an OSE adventure that was made for like 5th or 6th level characters, you could probably take 3rd.
Uh-oh.
It's enough out of that.
That was a Shadow Dark bootlickers.
Restream got sick of hearing them already.
I think if you took a 5th or 6th level, OSE module, you could run, 3rd or 4th level.
Yeah. Probably.
Shadow Dark. And then, like, if you had like a 10th level OSE, I think you're like, 7 or 8 level, Shadow Dark, and you would need like a 15th level, to run, to run like 10th level Shadow Dark players through.
Right.
Yeah. The low level stuff is easy to train. I did that with the Shopkeeper on the Borderlands. Like, that was built for low level OSR, and that was the easiest game I've ever prepped. I think, like, it was like no prep, like, just read the book and know the adventure. That was it.
Well, and I think that's true of any, like, system, really, or any kind of OSR like system or whatever. Lower levels are definitely easier to prep for than higher levels.
Higher levels.
I might be wrong, but looking at Dan's comment there, to me, it feels like a wizard with advantage on Fireball is going to be game breaking pretty fast.
I was just thinking the same thing.
Oh, yeah.
It is. You're just going to, like, I don't know, man. It's going to be wading through monsters at that point.
No, and that's what, Chubby says makes it swingy. Yeah.
Yeah, as a DM, sure, you could target and go after that wizard, but if he's got the opportunity to cast and you're not taking him down, he's going to mow things down left and right.
Yeah.
It's definitely going to superpower the spellcasters, because they're I mean, I played in Bloodworth ran at ShireCon. He ran Castles and Crusades from the starter box set, but he's doing a thing where he's basically adopting Shadow Dark casting rules for CNC. And I was curious about that, so I specifically played Cleric. I wanted to see how that casting would work. And we would not have survived that adventure had I not had that type of casting, because I would have blown my spells in the first encounter and been a second-hand fighter, because it's like first, second, or third, maybe third level at best. And level, I think it's first, but it definitely will boost the power level of your casters. Like we did it very briefly. My son was running OSE. We tried it, and I was playing a druid, and it definitely, I mean, because you have that ability to just keep going with your spells. So there's like, I mean, you're only going to run out if you fail. So
Yeah.
I could see where it would really be tough to. I'll be interested to see how Bloodworth makes out over long term with that style, that change,
Yeah, that'd definitely be interesting to
especially at the higher
hear
levels.
about.
I mean, I
Yeah.
would enjoy it more because I played a high level caster, and well, that's not really fair assessment. I played a high level caster in fifth edition, and fifth edition Magic sucks. So I would much rather play any OSR game as a caster than a fifth edition caster, because they're
Yeah,
actually more powerful that way.
Yeah, I definitely enjoy the Shadow Dark, casting thing. I guess I haven't really
Yep.
done it as a player, that
I
much.
did
So I
it-
mean, I should do that. But
I played Shadow Dark. My wizard that I played got to 8th level, and I had a blast. Like I had more fun with the casting in that than I did playing a 15th level wizard in 5th edition.
You
It
know,
was
my
more
whole thing is
effective,
just my abysmal luck. It would not be fun for me.
I'm
to
right
be
there
like,
with
well,
you.
I've cast a spell and I'm done for the night because I failed
Yeah.
it again.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah,
passed.
I lucked out with my character because he ended up with. I picked a pre-gen and just played him from there to 8th level, but I made out pretty well because I had rolled on the talent when he leveled and stuff. I got the bonus to casting a couple, so I had and he had a really good intelligence, so it was like I had like a +7 to my casting roll. So I
that's
failed
nice.
rolls occasionally, but I did do pretty well, and we
Yeah.
used that house rule.
Yeah, and there's certainly ways to mitigate, my failed rolls. You can have a pretty decent bonus, and you can get like all of our spellcasters always take advantage on Magic Missile because that's the spell they use all the time. So there are certainly ways to mitigate that. It's just, man, for me, it's just not worth the hassle. I would much rather play a melee or support guy, and I'll be perfectly fine with that.
Yeah, Chubby, I was talking earlier a little bit, but I've been teaching this class, doing like RPG history and teaching them about different games for a homeschooling group. One of the kids, I invited him to my home game running, Shadow Dark, and he's been running 5.5, 2024, whatever. And he was like amazed at like Shadow Dark, like just how quick it moves and just how everything just flows, and it's just boom boom boom, and there's no because he's got issues with players diving into books, and everything takes longer and all that stuff. So so I gave him a copy of the book, and hopefully he's gonna run some of that stuff. So we'll see how that goes. So
I forgot what I was going to say now. I had a response to you and I forgot because I was reading the comments. So never mind.
Oh, you saw Chubby's comment and it went to your head and you just forgot
Yeah, it
everything.
went to my head. Yep.
I know you mentioned in the chat your daughter ran 5e. So yeah,
She
CNC, which is
she
cool.
wanted to run a game, and I was running CNC at the time, and I have all this 5e stuff, and she's like, "What should I play?" And I know some people will get on me for this, but I was like, "Listen, you're 15 and 16-year-old girls just getting into the game." I'm like, take the starter set for 5e and run
Yeah.
Lost Minds of Fandelver. It's
Yeah.
a good set and whatever.
Sure.
And that's what they ran. But she told me after the fact, she's like, I didn't really like it. Everybody's got so many abilities and it just seems overpowered. You know, everybody seems like superheroes.
Yeah.
I was like, all right,
that's a
well, you
problem.
could try. I go, you know, I'm running Castle Crusade. Do you want to try that? So I gave her a book. She read it. She said she wanted to run it. And then I bought her a bunch of books for her friends and gave them all out. And that's what they played.
Nice. This is a Jason question if there ever was one.
Depends on what you mean by best. 3.5 is is greatly overpowered at level 5+, but it's a hell of a lot of fun to play. I keep looking at Hyperborea over here, man. I've been looking at it all night long. I love the Hyperborea Ranger. That's
haven't read it.
when I play a Ranger. What's
I
that?
haven't read that one. I'll have to read it. I like all the
When
classes in that book that I've read.
Yeah, when I think about a Ranger, Hyperborea nails it.
So how
I,
close?
I think
how-
CNC did a good job with the Ranger. I mean, I made a couple changes to it, but I think
The only thing I didn't like about CNC is their prime
Yeah.
status strength.
that's one of the things I
Well,
changed.
I don't want to play
Yeah.
them.
Yeah, but-
you make it strength
But
or
wait,
dex.
wait.
depending on
I changed it to
however you wanna
wisdom,
play.
actually.
Wait a minute.
Yeah.
That would
You
be
guys
fine,
can
too.
very well
Yeah.
change it, which most people do, but you got to remember there's a reason for it. They wanted them to be human centric. So if you want to play a ranger and you want to have those primes, you got to play a human. But the problem I had with it was the fact that they didn't do that with any other class. Ranger was the only one that you had to pick a human if you wanted to get both primes. So
Yes, agreed.
I
The
like
problem-
that concept. If they had kept it with all the classes and given you a reason to take certain races
Yeah.
over others for it, it would have been fine.
The reason I
Yeah.
changed it, one, is because most of its abilities are wisdom based, and
Right.
two, the
wisdom or
reason that
dex.
they get the reason that Stephen gave for that it was strength was based on what the other classes
There's too
had.
many wisdom
There's
classes.
too many wisdom classes, and I was
Yeah.
like,
What
I don't give a fuck
stupid
about
reason.
those other
Hey,
classes. Like,
St-
I want to
if
see
you-
what makes sense for this class. So.
I don't know if you haven't figured it out yet or not, but Steven doesn't know his own rules. I used to get on a stream and ask him about clarification on rules, and he would laugh because he didn't even know the rule. And then I'd tell him what it was. No, that can't be right. I'm reading it out of your book, dude. You go, I don't know. I don't know my rules. I play it however I want to play it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Chubby, but that question is really the opposite question is easier for me to answer. Which setting has the worst Ranger is easily 5th edition.
Oh, yeah.
The worst Ranger ever put to pen. Absolutely abysmal
Yeah,
class
trash.
in every
Yeah,
respect.
the problem with the Ranger in 5th edition is the same problem with every class. Everything was built to rely on bonus actions.
I mean, not even for me the 5e Ranger, its base abilities are so useless. Spend a spell slot to detect undead or whatever else within a 3-mile radius.
Oh, just that's
Yeah.
What?
yeah.
So
Climb it.
somewhere
Yeah, somewhere within
out
3
there.
miles is undead.
is a skeleton. What? How is that useful in any setting? It's just, and you have to expend a spell slot in order to do it. Just okay. This
Yeah, that's
nonsense.
where
That's what his son played. So
when you look at like 2nd edition or 1st edition, and you take like a paladin and they get their detect evil. When you read it, it's like it's got a very short range. It can't be through stone. It's got to be in a direction. You literally maybe walk up to a door and can detect if there's evil on the other side of the door. But if the door is stone, forget it. You're not even going to detect it. There's
Yeah.
limitations to it. The idea of, I can detect in a 3-mile radius. Okay, great.
Yeah, that was I remember when I started playing with the guys I'm playing with now, some of them, I joined their group, and one of the characters was a ranger, and he had that ability. And I would just see the look of frustration come over the game master's face, because I'm like, it doesn't make any freaking sense whatsoever.
None.
It was
Yeah.
And I just always hated the fact that if you want to do damage with any of the classes, okay, you're a ranger, you better use Hunter's Mark. And if you're a warlock, you better use Hex. And if
Yes.
you're a paladin, the only thing you're doing is smiting things. And if you're
Yeah.
I actually liked the 5e paladin, the original one. I actually liked that class. It was one of the few that I was actually interested in playing. I only got to play one for a little bit. And I actually liked their smite ability, their original smite. I don't like what they changed it, but in the 2024, but the original one, I mean, that was, in my opinion, that was the paladin's job. Like, I'm going in there and I'm smiting evil. That's what paladins have spells for, so we can spend them on smite. I'm like, okay.
Yeah, I don't know.
welcome.
I don't know when Smite came into the game. First and second edition, they didn't smite. They could turn undead. They had protections from evil,
Yeah.
auras of protection for evil, and all this stuff.
I don't think
I think even
I thought-
Shadow Dark, the paladin in Shadow Dark, I believe, gives bonuses to your party. They're more of like,
I haven't looked. I can't
printed
speak
it
on
out,
that one.
but Pete took them home to read them over, so I don't have it sitting here. But yeah, they give some kind of bonus, like you get, I don't know, immunity to something if they're within 5 feet of you. So if they're next to you, the allies
yeah, you
get a bonus.
You get a bonus to saves, like in Tui, I think it's like a +2 because they have this aura, which I think is fine. Like they're holy warriors, so they should have something.
The only beef I'll say about Tui, as much as I love it, the beef I have is the fact that Rangers and Paladins don't get their spells till 9th level. It just seems like
I love CNC because they don't get spells. Period.
Right. Well, I don't.
Awesome.
That's actually, I have no problem with paladins having clerical spells because they're
Rangers
holy
had
warriors.
magic user spells.
Yeah, and that has always bugged me.
Yeah.
In fact, that's one of the things that in fact, I think I talked about that last week. One of the things that I didn't like about Chubby's Ranger in the Player's Companion is that they're a spellcaster. They're more like a druid with a bow kind of thing, and that's not. And it's nothing against the way that class is written. It's just not the Ranger that I want to play. So when I saw the Archer and the Scout, I was like, "That's the Ranger. I want to be able to pathfind. I want to be able to shoot a bow. I want to be able to hide."
Yeah.
That Scout, dude. That Scout is like. That is the only thing that could make that Scout better is if I could have an animal companion. I love the Scout class, man. I think it's damn near perfect. It's great.
I'm not a huge fan of mechanics that allow you to fire into melee without any penalty, though. And like Shadow Dark has no mechanic for that at all. Now, I
Yeah.
think 2Es might be a little too restrictive. Oh, you're going to fire into it. Now you're going to roll to see who
You
you
roll
shot at.
randomly to see who you shot at. Yeah.
You know, I think that's a little too restrictive. I just think there should be
Well-
some kind of even if it's not a chance of hitting your ally, maybe if they're in melee combat with something, they're dancing around, parrying, whatever else. Maybe you get a negative to attack because
That's one of those things that we've kind of always house ruled, and I certainly have never argued against it, and I don't think anybody else in the group has either. You know, and like we did the same thing with Magic Missile and CNC, or not Magic Missile, Fireball, because in Castles and Crusades, the Fireball is a bead that fires out from the fingertip of the caster and impacts on the first thing it hits, or its designated area of effect. And so, you know, Roger's like, "Okay, Jason, you can use your bow, but you know that I'm going to give you a -2 to hit," and I'm like, "Cool, I have no problem with that." And a lot of times I was looking at my character and I'm like, I'm good enough. And so I roll the die and hope I get lucky.
Usually
And so
I'll say like if you
never
miss
shot.
by more than 4 or something,
Yeah.
then you roll to to hit somebody else randomly or something.
like some
Yeah.
people think sleep is overpowered in Shadow Dark because it affects up to 2nd level.
I mean, sleep
You
has
know-
always been kind of like
Right,
I don't
but
know if I call it overpowered.
I think it's less powerful than other editions because
Sure.
It goes in a straight
because
line.
no, sleep in Shadow Dark is a
Yeah.
near cube centered on.
Yeah, it's a
caster.
cube.
It's a cube centered on
I
the
thought it
target.
was a straight line.
So you literally got to go stand
Okay.
in the middle of the mobs if you want to put a bunch of them to sleep. It's
Interesting.
not.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not at a range. It's
Okay.
it's a near
I'll have to look
cube.
at that again because I thought it said that it was like a line or something for some
Nope.
reason.
Nope.
I don't know why I'm thinking that.
Yeah, it's because you don't read.
You know,
Yeah, could be.
Chubby makes a point that I also agree with. You know, really, it's like we can't even really define what a ranger's supposed to be anymore.
Yeah.
To me, they're Aragorn. You know, they're Strider from the Lord of the Rings or the Hobbit. You know that guy sitting in the corner. I don't really know much about him, but we know he's not to be messed with. And for me, that's how I like my ranger, and that's why I don't like them casting spells. I'm not looking to be a wood priest or especially a magic user spells. I was like, why would they even have magic user spells? That doesn't make any sense to me. So, but for me, And again, that's why I like the scout. When I saw the scout class, I was like, oh, that's the guy that I want to play. Whether you call it a ranger or scout makes no difference to me. That's what I wanted to play. there.
Chubby
like,
says,
I
I
still
have a
give,
dream that one day all of God's children will be able to play a game without an overpowered sleep spell.
So, Roger,
Yeah.
it can be interpreted two ways. You weave a lulling spell that fills a near-sized cube extending from you. Well,
Yeah.
so does that mean it extends out 30 feet from you, like in front of you, starting in 30
So
feet?
that's the way that we've ran it.
I would say yes.
Because it says a
Yeah.
near cube extending from you. So that seems
Yeah.
aligned.
That's how I understood it too. It's like you can't place the cube somewhere else. It has to start where you are.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it goes out 30
From you.
feet.
Okay.
So,
Yeah.
I had one more question that was sort of on topic. There was sort of for you guys. I know.
What's the topic again?
I know.
Been really
The topic's
Going back,
Shadow
I
Doc,
forgot.
right?
I don't remember. Yeah. So
What are we talking
really
about?
quick
topic's
because
the
we're
same as
past the
every week.
3-hour mark. I've only seen this in a couple of games. I can only remember one of them was the DC Heroes game from the 80s that I used to love. But they had an option there where you can go like combat by default was what they considered bashing combat. And you would only bring a person to 0. You bring your opponent to 0 and they would be unconscious. Right? No matter what you hit him. If he's got, a health of 50 and you hit him for 300, like he goes to 0 and they're unconscious. And you'd have to actually declare that I am entering into killing combat, and then you could bring them below 0, which would kill them. And then there were certain rules where, like obviously it was DC, but like we made some of the Marvel characters and stuff. So we said things like Wolverine, like with his claws, like he was automatically in killing combat all the time. Or if someone was like throwing like a bomb or something like some kind of explosive, like that was always, by default, killing combat. But what do you guys think of that? Is that too something like is that too difficult or like not quite right for like a fantasy game like D&D or to implement in a Shadow Dark?
I don't know if I like the idea of designating. I mean, like D&D has that with subdual damage.
Yeah, it's like a
and-
-4 to hit or something.
But you got to
Right.
declare you're trying to subdue. I'm okay with
Right,
that.
it's the other way
I
around.
don't like the other way of switching it, that you have to declare that you're actually trying to kill. It's generally assumed when you enter combat you're trying to kill the enemy.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, in a superhero game, I think it makes sense for it to be the other way around.
Sure.
I guess if we're
Yeah.
talking-
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
Spider-Man's not punching his fist through people by default, like he's right. I mean that
Right.
right.
even that
Not
stupid
usually.
Batman game where you're running people over with the Batmobile, they say it's non-lethal. You're non-lethally running them over with your Batmobile, so
We'll hit you with a car.
Yeah.
Don't worry
Yeah.
about it.
it's electrified, so it tasers them or something, is what they said.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. No, I was just curious what your thought. Obviously, yeah, I think for a fantasy game, like you'd have to reverse it, right?
Well-
So your default is killing, and then obviously you have like a -4 or something to to do subdual.
I think
I don't know. I personally, I don't love when games make it harder to non-lethally take people out. I mean, I sort of get it, because like you're thinking about like, well, if I'm trying to hit somebody with a sword and I'm purposely trying to hit them and not kill them, that's
Yeah.
obviously not what it's designed for. But I do
Right.
feel like
Right.
it. Well, go ahead.
Roger was talking out of his ass there. In 2E, subdual does not require you. Does
Yeah,
not
but a lot of
require
games
you
do.
to.
No, a lot of games
No.
do. That's what I was going to
It just-
say. A lot of
it
games
requires-
have rules specific to non-lethal damage that make it either different or more challenging to do. Whether 2E has it or not, that's true of a lot of games. And I don't like that. I think it's because I mean I guess it's okay. It's forcing the game is sort of telling you as a player, we don't expect you to do this. So it's sort of guiding the way the play principles work. And I think it's always more interesting if you have the advantage or the possibility to subdue enemies and not make it more difficult than killing them. Otherwise, why would I just not kill everything?
Sure. Well, and I think like to that point, you kind of mentioned it is like when you're using like a longsword, right? Like your default mode is like slashing at the enemy, right? Try to parry and cut. And so to try and like subdue somebody or knock them unconscious, you have to like knock their weapon out of the way. And instead of making like a slash or a cut, you're like trying to like bonk them with the flats, the flat edge of the blade or like the hilt, like punch him in the face with like the hilt or something. And so it's
the way I rule that usually is the way you see it in the movies, where it's like somebody pulls the stripe right before they cut their head off, right? And then the person kind of drops their weapon, like don't kill, because like in real life, most people don't want to get their head chopped off. Now, if you're fighting monsters, you could argue like it's like fighting an animal. They don't know what the difference maybe, but yeah, I mean, that's kind of how I view that is like, don't make it more difficult. If somebody wants to take somebody hostage, it opens up interesting lines of play. Like, don't make that harder to do.
Yeah. No, I
agree. I agree with you until you get the party that decides they want to do that with every goddamn encounter they go to. I've had players that do that, and it's like as soon as they find something like I found the parry rules in 2E. I'm going to parry every single attack from now on. I'm like, Christ, and they're like, well, I'm just raising my defense and getting them on me while other people kill them. I'm like, God, dude, you make the game boring when you like. You find one little thing and then that's all you do. So
yeah,
that's the problem I've had. You get players that all of a sudden they subdued somebody and that's easy to do. Let's subdue everybody. We're gonna knock them all out. And okay.
No, I get it. No, and
I agree with you. It can be fun. It can lead to some good role play and everything, but it can also get annoying.
Yeah. No, I think you're spot on with that. I think that's like part of the issue with like 5e or whatever. You have like all these abilities and then they're on the sheet and you just want to keep hitting that one button,
fireball
because it works. Yeah, or whatever it is, right? Whether it's the parry button or whether it's the fireball button or whatever, it is. And I think it's harder to do in games like Shadow Dark. Not that it's impossible, obviously, but
that old animated GIF there with the guy, the guy's LARPing in the woods with the guy going,
throwing the glitter.
Let me go. That's what 5e firebolts.
Yeah.
That's like
right.
Yeah.
Cool. So good time. So that was a wonderful conversation about death and dying, and
we did talk about it.
We didn't cover it. I know Jason wants to talk about death and dying in Edge of the Empire.
Oh God, I don't even know if it's possible to die in that game.
It is not possible
to die in that game.
Listen, I had a guy who just kept going back doing idiotic things, and we would roll on that chart, man, and oh my God, he would not die. He lost like 3 limbs. And then they were able to like rescue him. And
that feels on brand for Star Wars, though. Like losing limbs is pretty on brand.
And then he would get, he'd get the bionic arm put in or the bionic legs. And
you just get put in a vat and then you're fine.
And
yes, Edgelord. That's the Fantasy Flight Star Wars game.
Because in order to die, I believe you need to get hit, or when you go to 0, or when you get hit with a critical hit, you need to roll 150 on a percentile, and every time you get hit with a critical, it goes up plus 10. So you need to get hit with like 10 or with like 5 crits, or be below 0, with multiple crits and multiple hits in order to actually get killed. It's hard. It's very difficult.
I will say I do like the way we talked about DCC and the roll the body thing. And like Mothership has a similar thing where if somebody takes lethal damage, there's a roll that you do in secret, and they tell you like roll it under a cup, and then you don't reveal it until somebody actually had. Yeah. I think that's really fun. I had that happen in a one shot I ran at Page actually, where I can't remember if it was Page or Mepicon. It might have been Mepicon. But it was a module called Ghost Ship, and there's these automated turrets that come down in the front of the ship, and somebody got domed right in the head. And so it's just, I knew what happened they ended up not dying. And they had some number. Well, they had some number of turns. They had like 3 turns to get medical attention, and the ship had like a med bay. So they had to like drag the bot. So it's just like you just see them go down in a heap, and it's like, oh my god, what happened? Like, well, you don't know. You just saw them go down in a heap. So it's like, then when they drag the body out, you flip it over and you go, okay, they took a head wound and they're profusely bleeding, right? And if they don't get medical attention, they're going to die. I do like games that have that kind of mechanic where you just don't know if they're going to live or not because, I mean, not that I know, but I imagine if you see somebody get shot, sometimes it's obvious that they're dead. But if it's a, mid torso kind of,
you don't know.
you don't know. So
Yeah.
I think that's kind of cool.
Yeah, the only thing that I didn't like about that and like DCC is once you're past like the number of rounds, like then you go to the roll the body mechanic, and it could be 10 minutes, or whatever. Whereas like in Shadow Dark, it's like you've got this many rounds, right? Like there's a clock that's going. Whereas in DCC, it's like, okay, we've got an infinite amount of time. We could leave this dungeon, wait until the dragon dies of natural causes, and come back.
It doesn't explicitly say it. I mean, I've always interpreted that as like if you leave the combat area, then they're dead.
Gone. They're dead.
Yeah.
No, I'm just being facetious, right?
No, I know what you mean, though. Yeah.
But the combat could go on for like if you're fighting a dragon or a whole swarm of creatures, like it could be 10, 20 rounds. I mean, of combat,
well,
and then
sure.
you find this out.
And
is that really like a realistic?
And to Decato's earlier point, like the dragon breathes fire on you, and you go down in a pile of ash, and then they roll the ash over, and you're like, "Oh, I'm fine. I had a Bible there, and it bounced out." Like, there's things that definitely don't make sense.
It hit the Bible. The Bible's torched, but that's yeah. I mean, so that's like the only thing. And I like DCC, right? I mean, I think it's it's wacky, it's crazy, it's I can't run it for a campaign, you know what I mean? But one shots, I think it's fine.
Yeah.
Or short things. But yeah, that was my only issue with it is the roll the body. I do like the mothership thing though, where they tell you to roll it, and then nobody knows until it's until it's exposed. It's the Schrodinger's instead of rolling it then and there, you roll it before, and then everybody's staring at that cup or whatever, and they know that the fate's already been sealed, but no one knows what it is.
Nobody knows. Yeah.
And that to me is awesome. Yeah. And so that's cool. When you roll it, do you roll it so that you know what it is and then cover it, or do you have it in like the cup?
No, I like to put it in a cup and shake it around. Yeah, I have no idea.
And so you don't know either. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I don't want to know. Yep, I don't want to know.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, Sword and Stones, welcome to the show, but we're wrapping.
We're headed out.
We're wrapping. But thanks for coming. So everybody, please like, share, subscribe, all of that. I think we're at almost 160 subs, something like that, which is pretty amazing.
Nice.
That many people that want to hear us not talk about the subject of the day. But yeah. So thanks everybody for coming. Next week, I'm trying, I believe, I think next week where Jason Vey is going to come on. I'm still working on that. I'm trying to settle the date.
I have to
with
be
him.
on my best best behavior when it comes to CNC. Then
we're going to talk about his company and his games and all of that stuff and his stuff. I want to try and stay away from not that I want to stay away from CNC. I'm sure it'll come up. But I mean, obviously he's not. He does A&A, right? What's the
Amazing Adventures?
Amazing Adventures, yeah. So I mean, I'm sure we'll talk about that, and whatnot. But obviously CNC will come up, but yeah, there you go. So I mean, we'll talk to him about that stuff. I want to talk to him about his own company and different different types of gaming and all that stuff. So, but that'll be that. But that I'm going to try and finalize that in the next couple of days. But I'm pretty sure that he's going to come on. So,
Roger, I think you should change the name of this podcast to the Random Topic Generator.
yeah, maybe random topic Tuesday.
Yes.
Listen, just change it. So when you put up your topic, be like, it's going to be death and dying in RPGs and whatever
And
other
other
tangents we go to.
and several other tangents. Yeah, probably.
Start throwing darts.
But no, thanks everybody for coming. Like I said, please, like, share, subscribe. It helps. We're on our way to try and get to 500. That's my goal. Once I get to 500, then I can retire. I think. I don't know. Probably not, but it's a nice round number to shoot for, right? So, but no, thanks everybody for coming. So we'll see you guys next week. I'll get that stuff up as soon as I can, and we'll see you guys. Yeah, 500 a bust, Chubby. Yeah, and so night everybody. That's Death Angel's goal as well. So yeah, like, share, subscribe his channel too. Tennessee Tabletop something. Anyway, yeah, sorry. Put it in the chat. We'll see you guys later on. Everybody take care.